And also, there's a suspension in the college football world that we got to get to. Before we do that, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream in the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for him it's a breeze. He is Mike Hardball Hards. What's going on, brother?
What it do, what it do. I love the freak flag, fake it till you make it, 5-1-2 Friday. I love that right there. I can't wait to get this thing going. I'm excited to talk a little bit about this Texas football team. Obviously, Big Wimby making noise all over the place.
Come on now.
But did y'all see that spear? We'll get into it in a second. But did you see the spear put Welcome Summer League on? It made it a big basketball.
It was amazing.
That is unbelievable. That spear is causing problems.
No, it's causing like traffic, backed up traffic because people are staring at it while they're driving, and wrecks because you're running into people.
Unbelievable.
I gotta go. No, it is like it's becoming like one of those kind of random wonders of the world where you gotta go see this dance. It's the biggest spear in the world.
I can't
it's
wait.
It's the biggest spear in the world.
And what is it? $2.3 billion or $3.2 billion?
And it's a great venue. I mean, think about seeing a concert in that thing. It's gotta be pretty
That's
cool.
what I'm curious what the inside's gonna be.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
because the outside looks so good, you're like the inside just looks like Hemisphere Arena.
Yeah, exactly. Looking like the Astrodome. You just walk in and you're like, hey, we're just here.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Don't be disrespecting the Astrodome.
It's the eighth wonder of the world.
At one point, it was one of the wonders of the world.
It is. It was the eighth wonder of the world.
Now it just stank. It actually, you can smell it.
There it is.
You can smell the Astrodome when you're around it. It's bad.
And that's so bad.
It's right next to NRG. You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
They have like some historical landmark, so but they won't improve it or upgrade it.
They break it all down for you.
It's that one house that holdout house in a really nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's like, hell no, we ain't selling. And it's like, all the houses around you are really nice. Would you sell or upgrade? Like, nah, we're good.
My mama grew up here. We ain't moving nowhere. This a family house. We staying in this thing.
My mama didn't have plumbing. I don't have plumbing.
Exactly. But let me talk about my man that sits across from me. He hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary lifetime and now College Football Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study, but he's not a fan of white condiments. But of course, he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro as always. Let's not waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty damn sure that he's underpaid. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, Patrick? How are you, brother?
Oh, Friday, we're ready to go.
You excited about this Wemby stuff? We do have video proof now. We
have video. I'm excited to see Wembanyama in a Spurs jersey today. I'm excited to see Serge Barry Rice in a Spurs jersey today.
That's right. That's right.
I'm excited. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of players. I was watching Timmy Allen play yesterday in the Memphis game. I recorded that one so I could watch that one as well. And he put in some good minutes yesterday. So I'll enjoy watching all the Texas players when they get into the summer league. It's a fun place to see them and see if they're going to make a roster.
Yeah, I mean that's and somebody, I don't know why I was even paying attention. They were talking about examining summer league, like literally talking about the teams, and they said the Spurs might win the summer league title.
Well, yeah,
right.
But that's not that surprising. You have the number one pick, plus you also have a bunch of guys on this team who played for the Spurs last year.
Yeah, and they're really exactly.
So unless you start sitting guys like Champagnie and guys like that who played decent minutes for an NBA team last year, they're just kind of a long way ahead of all these other players who have only played either college ball or a G League.
Hey,
and so they're at a different level right now.
It's a good bet though. Some people bet like summer league.
Exactly.
I will say
I got a friend. I won't even say his name, but
we know who he is.
Fantasy summer league stuff.
The Spurs have won it before with Becky Hammond coaching it.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
But I think the main point of summer league is not necessarily to win, but Vegas summer league it's good to win because you get to play more games. But I would not be surprised if Wembanyama plays about 10 minutes, 15 minutes today.
Oh, that's your over-under?
I wouldn't put him at a ton of minutes in this game. And if he plays a bunch, he's not playing in the next one. It's going to be one of those things where I just don't think they overuse him too much. But they may play him 30 minutes or 25 minutes in this game and then not play him at all in the next one. Or they may play him 15 in both. I don't know.
I saw Chad Holmgren did the same thing the other day. He played 2 games and then he was off.
Well, but that's also
because he's coming off an injury too.
It is, and that's also not Vegas. So there is a little bit more in Vegas summer league than there is at Salt Lake City or in California.
Got you.
Those ones are the primary, like guys don't necessarily go to those ones.
Yeah,
there's some more they hold out of those.
I I hope they divide it up. I hope they don't play him a ton of minutes in this game. I hope they go 10 to 12, like you mentioned. So he can't play in 2 games. That's good for the economy. It's good for the summer leagues. Good for everybody. Wemby is a trending topic in the sports world. Not only the sports world, not in the pop culture world as well. Thank you, Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Can I just say this? One of my takes about the Spurs and Wemby, then we'll get into some Texas football here. I think this is not an insult to the Spurs at all. Yep. But it's going to sound like one. It does show that they are ill-equipped or ill-prepared for celebrity as an organization. Even though they've won championships and they're a dynastic organization, all that kind of stuff, and they've had GOATs within the organization, celebrity in the modern day era for the Spurs is, I think, it's just uncharted waters for them. They had a damn security guard who didn't know who Britney Spears was. Now she was speaking in a British accent, so I probably wouldn't have recognized her.
Yeah, I saw the pictures too of her, and I was like, I wouldn't even know if I'd recognize that was Britney Spears if I'd looked. I was like,
I probably wouldn't.
I'd just be like, it's a white woman. Yeah. That's just white woman in Vegas. It's all that is.
Acting like they somebody else.
And you're like, yeah. If
she didn't have an entourage with her. She had like 4 people.
No, I think she was with like her boyfriend or husband or whatever.
It wasn't a big entourage. So
Damn, she was with her boyfriend and her husband? She got it like that.
Hey, it's Britney.
It's Britney.
That's right.
For real. No, I love that story. That is a fantastic
story. The Spurs celebrities are like George Strait and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same guys who are running after you. I think Sam Jackson is one. Samuel Jackson's one, I think.
Yeah.
Is he really?
I know he has been in the past, been a Spurs fan.
Man, I'm telling you, I cannot wait to see who's going to get Britney Spears at I think it's going to be a Spurs game. But you say Mavs.
I say I don't think the Spurs are going to be like, hey, come on down,
crazy
lady who's tried to get our guy arrested.
They don't control that anymore. Now that is a different department. And now you admit the Spurs, like the office where they get their social media department and all that kind of stuff. Oh man, they definitely upgrade. They hired some new people. They're thinking on a different level now, so I would not doubt. And Pop hates it, I'm sure. But Britney Spears got to be at one of them games, and then Wemby got to interact with her. But before or after the game, there'll be a photo, and then it's all squashed.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
And the Coyote's going to make fun of it.
And the Coyote will make fun of it.
Yes, we know the Coyote makes fun of it.
This is the new hey, this is the NBA. This is the pettiest league on the planet, man. This can only happen to the NBA. It's like, what a great story. I'm happy for Wemby. I'm happy for the Spurs. I'm happy for Britney, too. You know what I mean? Because
she's back in the news.
She is back in the news.
Yeah, and this time it was, have y'all been paying attention to her much at all?
Not since like the conservatorship issue with her father. I think that was the last time I was Googling Britney Spears about stuff.
I'm aware that some people have told me to check out her Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, what's she doing there? She get butt naked?
Yeah.
Does she really?
Yeah.
I was joking.
No.
Yeah,
what?
She's
hold on. She's doing it on Instagram?
She's been wilding.
She censors it, but she's
Britney.
Yeah.
Brittany, if you really want to get down, girl, OnlyFans, you can make millions.
Yeah,
what
she's
are you
missing
doing?
out on that.
You wasting that?
She's missing out on that.
Zuckerberg and the gram?
Yeah. Or no, Zuckerberg now. And she could go to Threads.
No, man. You talking about trying to monetize.
Oh, yeah. She definitely needs to monetize.
Appeal. Yeah, a lot of dudes my age who will be sitting around like, oh, Britney Spears got OnlyFans? Man, damn it. Let me go ahead and get one of these accounts. Let me see what he's talking about. Come on, Britney.
That's why Cardi B was sitting there saying, I'm dancing in my house like I'm Britney Spears.
Right?
That's why. Because those are those videos that she has on Instagram. No, they're now. This is happening now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. She needs to go to OnlyFans.
She's wilding.
Just go to OnlyFans, girl.
She does.
If you get paid to be
Carmen Electra's over there.
Yeah, that to me, that if she said she was doing that, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, she's just smart. Yeah. She's getting paid.
No.
Now she is crazy.
Yeah.
She's doing it for free. That's crazy.
She's doing it for free.
You doing it for free? Oh, girl, you gonna get paid to do that these days? Did nobody tell you?
Yeah.
What decade you living in? Come on, you ain't even got to be that hot to get money on OnlyFans.
Most of the time, the husbands are like, "Hey, girl,
get on there, dude." If my wife said she wanted to put on a mask and do OnlyFans, honestly, I'd be all about it. I'd be honest. But what would be?
You wouldn't know it was her.
You wouldn't know it was her.
That's right.
She's gonna make a little change on the side,
and it's gonna be more intriguing because she got a mask on. People are gonna be like,
exactly. Who
"That's
is that?
their little freak."
Who is that?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I gotta
I'm
cover.
Intrigued by
I'll cover up my tattoos. Would be good. Oh man. All right. Anyway,
you might have to.
Right. Yeah, times are tough these days, man. A little side gig ain't nobody. A little side gig for the OnlyFans. What are you doing your taxes? You pay taxes on that?
You have to. You have to.
Okay,
you gotta pay taxes on gambling. You gotta pay tax. You're supposed to pay tax on selling illegal
Somebody
drugs.
said they're downloading IG right now.
See, look at that. Now she's selling it. She said, I'm saying that same person would have been like, "Oh, she got OnlyFans again? I'm on it." Come on, Brittany. But yeah, I wonder if they got an LLC already set up for the OnlyFans. They probably do.
They have to.
Good for them, man.
Yeah.
You know what?
If you're smart,
it's something to research, Brittany. That's all I'm saying, girl. I will talk about that later. Like we didn't just cover it. But there's like updates we didn't get into. Let's talk Texas. It's Friday. Let's talk Texas football a little bit. Man, Chip Brown does a great job with his insider piece. So we had another insider piece over there today, and this little nugget I loved. I encourage you to go check it out. It's pretty expansive. It's lengthy, but it's good. Got a lot of nice nuggets up in there. But Jaylan Ford, we talked about Jaylan Ford being the pick to be Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. The media picked him for the preseason award, and there's no doubt he was snubbed last year.
Correct.
Last season for the Defensive Player of the Year award. And I know what I hate. I do think him being snubbed is going to lead to somebody else being snubbed this year because he deserved it last year and they didn't give it to him. So now it's already kind of predetermined he's going to get it. And there'll be some dude balling out this year, had a great season, and they going to get snubbed. And it's always like hurt people. Yeah. It's like, the snubbing.
I like that. Hurt people.
The cycle of snubbing continues.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to happen. I don't think he's going to have the best defensive season in the Big 12 again. He'll be one of the best. But then there'll be some dude from K-State or Iowa State who's just going to get snubbed because he got snubbed.
Correct.
It happened too.
It happens all the time.
It happened to Earl Thomas. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because Earl Thomas deserved the Thorpe Award that year, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, CBO, correct me, Eric Berry won it.
It was Eric Berry.
And I think it was Eric Berry deserved it the year before, and they didn't give it to him.
And they felt bad. We need to give it to him. Yeah.
So your guilt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shamed you into this.
Exactly. Your media guilt. And then you end up, that cycle ends up hurting everybody. Anyway. But here's the nugget from my man Chip Brown. He found it was really good. And you know this happens a lot in Texas baseball. Maybe so than any other sport, Harge, because you've brought up multiple examples of it. Where the recommendation of someone connected to the program as a lifetime Longhorn or the friend of a lifetime Longhorn.
Or they hear the story about a kid that they know that they've been seeing as my dream school is the University of Texas. Exactly. And it's like, man, this dude is balling. How come Texas hadn't been on him?
Ding, 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 ding,
there
ding.
There it goes.
Exactly. Yeah. You've actually had multiple examples of that. And I think actually some successful examples of it with Texas baseball where guys actually were recognized in Texas, pulled them up. Well, apparently, one of the biggest endorsements that Oscar Giles got because he was recruiting Jaylan Ford. He wasn't recruiting Jaylan Ford, I should say, but I believe he was the first one that was contacted about Jaylan Ford because Tim Beck and Oscar Giles were responsible for his commitment, and he was originally committed to Utah, says here, and I can't forget that he was committed to Utah. And then the father, actually, of Alex Delatorre, remember the lifetime Longhorns, the fullback, and I think now he's into coaching.
He's definitely a high school coach right now.
Yeah, and his dad is DC at Denton Ryan, and he basically told Oscar Giles, "Dude, you gotta get this guy. Like, I don't know what y'all waiting on. This dude was legit." He said, "Quote: I told him, why aren't you recruiting Jaylan Ford? The kid is athletic, smart, and instinctive." Delatorre said. And he didn't. How about this? Jaylan Ford didn't even rank among the nation's top 650 prospects.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's going back to the conversation that we've been having about this organization, this university. They have now started developing those types of players.
Development, brother.
And it's huge in the scouting eyes and watching all this talent that keeps coming in. And I keep using that word talent because it's always there. Now the conversation is going to be shifted, and I think that he is the perfect example of that model. When you want to see the picture of development, Jaylan Ford is that guy.
That's how you got Anthony Hill.
Yeah. They saw it.
That's exactly.
They saw what happened.
It's like, hey, man, that dude.
They couldn't avoid it. You saw what happened with DeMarvion Overshawn. When he got moved down to the box, he got developed.
Yep.
And so you start looking at these pieces, and if you're a linebacker, Anthony Hill, you're like, well, wait a minute, I want some of that love too. Let me go down there and get some of that knowledge.
That's great.
And now here it is.
Yeah, no, it's you're right about that too. As Anthony Hill, and he's going to be used in a lot of different ways too, just like Jaylan Ford. There's no question he had to be impressed with that type of development. Yeah, and I forgot about DeMarvion Overshawn too.
Yeah,
it's a good point. And now you can continue that draft pipeline because Jaylan Ford should be the next one.
Yep.
should have one every year.
Yep. And that's when you know that things are going well.
That's how you know it. Okay, he also points out that his film study has been taken to the next level. He says his film study, taking notes in meetings, getting better mental reps in practice, eye control, seeing formations, knowing what the offense does out of those back set splits, getting his eyes on the right keys at the snap, and then reacting and transitioning. His eyes are purposely through the down. A third source said that Ford is already looking at opponent film, trying to prepare for the season, and is bringing along younger linebackers like Leon Lafau.
I love it.
Who's right now, he's also considered a really instinctive linebacker too.
Yep.
So there you go. I mean, and they also point out here, since we're talking about defense, might as well continue talking about the linebacking core, that Anthony Hill said he's going to be an immediate impact guy at Demo's old spot, playing some weak side linebacker and then coming off the edge in obvious passing situations. The guy has been, as advertised, long, athletic, explosive, focused, driven. He is an absolute natural rushing the passer.
Yeah.
So.
And we saw some of that, the little bit of film that we did get to see, and then the time that we saw him in the spring game.
Yeah.
He looked effortless out there. He looked like he knew what he was doing. The one thing that impressed me the most, and, little things that a lot of people don't pay attention to, but I do, the way he was angling to go get the quarterback, but he also knew I couldn't hit the quarterback at such a young age, and he just kept rolling with it. When DeMarvion Overshawn was here, he was lighting up Casey Thompson on the goal line.
Yeah,
he didn't care what kind of jersey you had on. My job was just to hit. For a young player to come in and have that maturity to know, all right, I'm going to take the correct angle to let everybody know I'm in the right place, but I know not to hit our quarterback. So I was impressed by that.
No, his game has definitely got some maturity to it, but I do think I've always said pass rushing is kind of a natural ability. You can get better at pass rushing based on your fundamentals and hand placement, BGO. You can improve all those things. So I'm not saying you can't get better, but I do think some guys just have it naturally. They just naturally know how to rush the passer with the body lean and knowing how, get low to the ground and their leverage. Some guys just understand it naturally. He is one of those guys. Demo was one of those guys.
Yep.
They waited way too long to put Demo on the edge, and when they did it, I reaped the fruits of their labor. Okay, let's get into we'll get to some of those insider details too, but I thought that was really interesting about Jaylan Ford. And Jaylan Ford, I was just looking at some of the stats from last year. Talk about him being snubbed just really quickly. That's how I know he's going to win it this year. I'm giving you my Black Stones prediction. And it's very likely that somebody else is going to have a better season than him in the Big 12 this season, but it doesn't matter. They're going to give it to him as basically a reward for what he did last season, or award for what he did last season. How about this? This is a great stat from my man John Bianco. 6 straight games creating a turnover. He had 6 straight games creating a turnover.
6 straight.
He was the only Power 5 player with 4 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. Only FBS player with 4 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles and 2 recoveries. Only FBS linebacker with 4 interceptions, which tied the record for Derek Johnson, which you mentioned in the intro every day, for interceptions at Texas. And the only player in the Big 12 to put up at least 100 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles in a single season since 2000. Since 2000. He won Defensive Player of the Week award 3 times.
And didn't get Defensive Player of the Season, which is the reason why I agree with you. I'm going to jump out there, too.
It's crazy.
I'm going to believe in that situation as well, because that dude should have won it last year because of the stats that you just gave and the fact that he was 3-time Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week. Nobody else was even close.
Yeah. I don't.
It doesn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense, man. They know they screwed up on that one. And I hope it wasn't a conspiracy theory. They were just trying to, give Texas the shaft before they went to the SEC as many times as they could. But that was disappointing for Jaylan Ford. But good for us because he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's mad. He's angry.
Yeah,
he's upset.
There's a few of them that are over there angry.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys with chips on their shoulder.
Yep.
That's a beautiful thing for Texas. Okay, let's get to this ranking of the quarterback room. And we've seen this, I don't know, basically these lists. We've seen these rankings in a lot of different ways. This one actually is from 247 Sports, the quarterback ranking here. And interestingly enough, looking at the Texas court, they rank the quarterback rooms. They rank basically different position groups around the country, and they rank Texas as the best quarterback room in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Man, to me, what that says, and by the way, you got to give Sark a lot of credit for that. They have Ohio State as the best wide receiver room. They ranked all different groups, and this is the only position group where Texas is ranked as the best in the country. I think the wide receivers, though, a lot of people have them in the top 3. Howard, you sent the list for Pro Football Focus that had them number 2 behind Ohio State. So that goes hand in hand. Having a great quarterback room and then a great wide receiving room in Texas is top 3 for both in most people's rankings these days. But Texas having the best quarterback room in the country, and a lot of people's estimation is because what they saw from Malik Murphy in the spring game. And after seeing that, and then being able to keep Malik Murphy. And keep him from the transfer portal when the reports were he could have went to some other universities and started top Power 5 universities and been the starting quarterback. I don't disagree with that. I think LSU's in the conversation.
Yeah. I think LSU should definitely be in the conversation.
USC, of course, is there.
Yep.
But, Texas is right. There's no question they're right there. And it's because the expectations for Quinn Ewers. If Quinn Ewers, regresses, then all these rankings are out the window.
Well, and you can also look at the fact, too, you talked about him being able to keep a Malik Murphy, what people got a chance to see. And, of course, you got the name Arch Manning that is there. So that helps that quarterback room and be able to cultivate that. And when you look at Quinn Ewers, I know we're going to probably talk about it here in a little bit, but the mock drafts have him going as high as number 8.
Get into it.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a perfect segue.
So there's a reason why people are saying, okay, this could work out. This is why I've been so bullish, and I believe a lot of people are bullish. I was on radio in Houston today, and he asked me, he was like, what do you think about our man Stan Norfleet? I was on with him today, and he was saying, are you really believing in this? And I'm like, yeah. And he asked me why. And I said the reason why, everything that we've talked about and going to continue to talk about happens on the sideline. The talent has always been there. Everything that has been going through these transitions, you have all the 5 stars your heart can desire. You got them. Get them. They're not only do you have them, they're in skilled positions that are going to make and break you. So we're having a quarterback who, by the way, guys, it's a contract year. It is a contract year for Quinn Ewers.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And what happens to most people when they are up for contracts? They go out there and stay focused. They work on the little things that they let slip away, and they dial themselves in because they know there's a payday at the end if they can come in and cook. And he's got the ingredients to cook. So I'm just waiting to see, and I'm believing in it. But like everything else, pause. You got to pump your brakes until you see it on the field.
Pause. Slow down.
Exactly.
But yeah, the mock draft that Harge is referring to from Jordan Reed, actually from earlier this week, he did a mock draft, and he's got Quinn Ewers going to the Washington Commanders at number 8.
Yep.
Overall. So there are a lot. It's not just burnt orange Kool-Aid that people are drinking right now. A lot of people are on the bandwagon and thinking with all the weaponry that Quinn Ewers will have around him. One of the best receiving corps in the country, a J.T. Sanders, probably his second best draftable tight end in this draft class for tight ends this year. And, you'll have an offensive line that's coming back with all its pieces from last season. And then you'll be infusing guys with higher upside on that offensive line. So everything's there. And you got one of the best play callers in the game, too.
No doubt.
With Sark. So, I see why there's hype, but, it's not just Texas hype. Yeah, that mock draft, I was surprised they had him at number 8 overall.
At number 8. I
hadn't seen it. Even I'll admit, he does have first-round talent, but I haven't seen enough to draft him at number 8. But
maybe they saw that picture.
I think they're projecting.
Maybe they saw that quarterback room picture.
With the six-pack?
Yeah.
Where's Malik going to get drafted?
Malik got one more year. He got one more.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's wild.
But you keep trying to – people keep saying he look like a DN. We can't put him out there like Ed Too Tall Jones. I want him to play quarterback. I want that young man to get a chance to play some quarterback.
I do think quarterback rooms around the country and NIL fundraising are linked and connected because of all the positions that end up testing the free market via the transfer portal, no positions are paid more money than quarterbacks. I'd love to see a study done about that, but I think it's pretty obvious that quarterbacks are getting the most money. So it's no shock that the reports say that Texas, and I saw this from, I think his name is Shannon Terry, actually. Yes, it's
I know Shannon.
3.
Yeah, on 3.
Yes, if you know him personally.
Well,
you know everything.
He owns it. He owns On 3.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he's one of the guys that really
that.
started it. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Even more credibility
exactly.
to what the man says. He actually said, and this is a tweet from a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it wasn't that long ago. It was actually like a couple of days ago. He says that Texas, no collectives are more aggressive than Texas right now.
Right.
That's for his tweet. You can go check out his Twitter, Shannon Terry. Go look it up.
Yeah. He
says that nobody's more aggressive right now than Texas. Here's the tweet, and it's at Shannon Terry.
Yeah.
No collectives are more aggressive during this recruiting cycle than the Texas Longhorns. This is 100% the right move. So
yeah.
He's saying right now there, and we got my man CB. Shout out to CB. He sent us this report from our good friends over at KXAN, who quoted an excerpt from an Austin Business Journal article. Remember, they had one earlier that I referenced too about NIL, so they're tracking it and doing a good job. Now, remember, they're limited information. It's not, they don't have all the records. It's a sample size, pretty much, they go on here. But they claim that Texas has earned at least $15.5 million in NIL deals.
Right.
In the 2 years since it's been the law of the land. And
they said with a limited amount of information.
And that's a limit. Like I said, exactly. That's limited.
Because that's why that law passed quickly. On July 1st, they were like, nope, can't find out anything else.
Yeah, a lot of privacy laws now that restrict how much information you can have about it. And then remember, Open Doors has stated that Texas is based on their information, and they study the NIL, millions of different transactions and all the different collectives, and they claim that Texas is the number one NIL school in the country. They are the NIL capital of college sports right now, but it's an arms race. So
yeah, you got to keep it going. It can't be just one time.
Yeah, the Aggies are right there. Oregon's right there. Tennessee's right there. There are a lot of schools right there that, Miami wants that claim too. USC spending big money. But Texas right now doing really, really well when it comes to NIL.
Yeah.
All right, we come back. We'll get into the Wemby sweepstakes and Wemby mania that's happening right now in Vegas, sweeping Vegas. That and the Spear. That and the Spear. It's Wemby and the Spear.
The Spear is part of Wemby.
You're right. I wouldn't doubt if Wemby's face ends up on the Spear somehow. We'll get a picture of that.
Tonight.
Right. All right, we'll talk about that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all love the city of Austin because of a lot of reasons, actually. But one of the reasons we love Austin is because of the unique aesthetic appeal. And one of the reasons for that unique aesthetic appeal is the skilled craftsmanship of ironworkers, Local 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. That's a really long time. And you see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career and you want to become a valued member of this prestigious organization, right now is a great time to do it because they're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas. And you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring over 3,000 people. So reach out to them today at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick the Idealionaire takes certain songs and jams from very talented people, very talented human beings that you have a chance to see live right here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Natchet Taylor, and he is going to be playing tonight at Pootie's.
Where's Pootie's?
Pootie's out on 71, I believe.
Okay. All right.
Pootie was Willie Nelson's roadie for a long time, then opened up a club out.
Do you spell it like Pootie Tang?
Yeah, Poodie.
Oh, I think it's Pootie Tang is T.
It's Pootie. It's okay. It's a D.
It's a D.
It's a D.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. Sorry, just checking out there. All right, there you go. Shout out. I like this song, though. What's the name of the song?
The name of the song is What's Going On Today.
What's going on today? All right, nice jam. Thanks, my man Patrick. Always keeping us on our toes, and you can look really cool in front of all your friends, like you know where all the talented folks are playing in the ATX. All you gotta do is listen on a 512 Friday. 512-337-3776. That is the number to the Specs text line. You can always hit us up there. We're gonna talk about Wemby and the Wemby effect. So we do have video evidence of what went down between Britney Spears, the security detail for Wemby, and then Wemby. Because Wemby actually, now looking at the video, how he described it, because he said he did not look back. He did not look back. He didn't turn around at all. So the video just shows Britney, or it shows a blonde woman, we assume is Britney, of course, and speaking in a British accent, says a witness. And she did try to tap him or, reach out for him, and I don't even know if she made contact. She did, because he said she did, but from the video, she barely made contact because the bodyguard's hand comes up to block her hand, and then he actually, with so much, I don't say so much force, with enough force that he knocks her hand back into her face, and then she ends up hitting herself.
Yeah.
This is basically what ended up happening. That's the kind of the official is that, his force, it did force her, hand to hit herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you want to say that he was maybe a little too aggressive with the way he waved off the hand. I don't know. Did this make the the security detail look better or worse, in your opinion?
I think it's better, and I think it was unfortunately she did get hit, but it was nothing that he did intentionally. It wasn't like he drew back to give her this, British slap to the face. I don't think she got that. You know what I'm saying? She didn't get the British backhand. It was, hey, get your hand down. And he just kind of swiped at her hand and then just accidentally went too far. I mean, that's what it is. I don't think he intentionally said, I'm about to hit her in the face.
Yeah, no charges will be filed. So the authorities agreed, the Aria Metro Police agreed that was the case, that it was just kind of an unfortunate situation overall, that Britney ended up, kind of hitting herself in the face with her hand. So I don't know where we go from here because there's no charges, so it's all good. I'm hoping that the Spurs, Patrick, will see this opportunity as a marketing opportunity and invite Britney to one of the home games for the Spurs so that she can watch Wemby, because she really is a fan.
She's a fan.
She's a big fan of Wemby now. Now Britney's a fan, man.
She better be.
Dude, she was.
I don't know if she's a fan anymore.
She was saying. Oh, what about the personal apology? Remember she said she wanted that?
She needs a personal apology from the Spurs, from Wemby, and from the security guard. She'd prefer to have him fired and his entire family deported.
No.
She wants to make sure that the Spurs now have forfeited all playoff games the next 7 years. Come on now.
No, but still. Because now, obviously, no legal situation here, of course. So I guess now you would have to worry about, maybe her suing or her people suing.
Yeah,
I think when she relays or communicates to them, there will be no lawsuit.
Yeah.
Just so you know, when they can get that in writing or something like that, I think the Spurs would reach out and then they would publicly apologize, because then they wouldn't have to worry about any liability.
Yeah, no, I think that there will probably be a discussion between
her
people and their people, and then if everything becomes copacetic,
exactly,
then they'll be like, yeah, come on down for a game, and she'll be like, where's San Antonio? Like,
She's toured it. She had to have toured in San Antonio in her prime.
yeah, but if you're you don't know where it is. You get on a bus and you go.
Point. That's a good.
And they say,
fair.
just remember you say San Antonio.
Yeah, that's true.
We love you, San Antonio. We were there last night.
That's a great one. No, there are a bunch of those. You're right. There are a bunch of those
Wanna
videos.
get away?
Like, we're in Philadelphia. I was like, oh, no. It's actually Arizona.
Here in Dallas.
Okay, so now you don't have to worry about, obviously, Wemby being distracted for his debut because it looks like we have some resolution to the situation. Did we ever find out about nobody ever asked about the British accent. Am I the only one? Are we the only ones that really
no,
know?
we're
I
gonna
think
find out.
I think everybody wants to know, but everyone's like, we don't want to pile on here.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I need TMZ to get to the bottom of that now.
Yeah. I was laughing at TMZ putting articles out that were like, it was a tap, not a grab. And you're like, guys, calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it was a grab, but there could be. I heard Zay talking about it. He speaks multiple languages. You know, it could be something lost in translation. Definition of touch, grab, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and in his world, what he thought had happened was somebody came up behind him, touched him on the back, whether it was a touch or grab, and he kept walking. And then hours later, they're like, by the way, welcome to America.
Yeah.
Things are weird here. So
You're about to get blamed for some stuff that.
so all the questions will not be about basketball tomorrow. Just to let you know.
Oh yeah, because he did speak to the media, and he
Yes,
handled
and the
himself pretty
first
well.
question was
Yeah.
about Britney Spears.
Yes, it was.
So he's like, so they had to tell him, or otherwise he'd be like, what?
I can't wait to see what
Yeah.
somebody ask Pop about it. Somebody's gonna ask Pop about it when they get a
Yeah,
chance
and he
to.
will not answer.
I just can't wait to see his reaction.
Yeah.
Because he already knows it's gonna happen. His reaction is gonna be gold when somebody asks him about Britney Spears. And you know what? I hope Pop's in one of those moods where he's jovial in a good mood, because he'll make a good joke about it or something like that, or like that he's a fan of Britney Spears, and try to go through like some of her discography, if you will. Okay, so we don't have to worry about him being distracted from the Britney Spears. I will say this though about the Spurs. I think now they're gonna learn how to have a celebrity on the team, and not that Tim Duncan wasn't a GOAT, and Manu is a great player, Hall of Famer, and they're a dynasty, one of the greatest franchises in the history of sports, not just the NBA. But you could argue from because of the culture of the team and the community, that they haven't had like a true celebrity yet, because Tim Duncan didn't want to be that.
Right.
That's the furthest thing from his mind. He's like, no, hell no, I don't want any type of celebrity. He didn't embrace that, and Tony Parker embraced it a little bit, but Tony Parker wasn't. He wasn't the key to the dynasty.
Well, he's also not 7 feet tall.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a big difference of a 6'3" guy walking through a restaurant and you go, I wonder who that is, and a 7'4" guy where you go, oh, a basketball player.
Yeah, I guess he was married to Eva Longoria or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying is I think more people would recognize her. That was the story of when they first went out to dinner, and people kept coming up for her autograph, and he kept trying to give them autographs because he didn't understand that he wasn't the most famous person.
Yeah. So, that's probably the closest they come to like the celebrity, because most of their stars just don't embrace the celebrity culture. And I think Victor's going to embrace it. And he should, because he's going to be potentially the face of the league.
He is the face, whether he wants to be or not. He's got the personality. That's the biggest thing for me. That's why I'm like, hey, I'm digging this kid being number one. People are already criticizing him because they're like, oh, is he going to be able to be healthy enough? Is he going to do this? I'm not worried about that. His personality is enough that those people that are the marketing directors for the San Antonio Spurs are like cha-ching, because he's a good-looking dude. He can speak multiple languages, and he is now the number one overall pick that can go out and meet people
and like Patrick
and have
said,
security with him.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But like Patrick said, you notice him instantly. Brittany was like, "Oh, there he is."
He's sitting down taller than you.
Brittany basically was like, "I've seen him like 3 times in my life, and that's him. There he goes again. It's easy to spot him. Once you see him once, you're like, boom, I got him.
I know who he is.
That's Wemby.
Yeah.
So that's it really is exciting for the San Antonio Spurs, but also for the Summer League, because we talked about the prices. The top price for Summer League tickets to get into Wemby's debut at the Thomas and Mack Center, $617.
$617.
That's the max ticket. $186 are the average ticket price to get in there. $186. That's crazy for a Summer League game, but it just shows you the celebrity.
And he is definitely that now.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I brought this up yesterday. If you go look at his basic trading cards, I'm not into. I should ask Jeff Howe about this, because Jeff Howe might actually try to find you one. His Metropolitan 92 rookie card, which is basically the rookie card, which has his last team that he was on in France on there. On eBay, one listing had a redemption gold-based autograph card priced at $23,000.
I need one of those.
I don't even know what that means, but I want one.
I need a couple of them.
They say his card sales have skyrocketed the last 30 days. At first, it was kind of moderately low. The increase in sale quota has basically taken the growth in the cost of the average Wembanyama card to $89. That's the average now.
Yep.
Prices, they say, do range from 99 cents to 11,000.
Do you think that people are trying to buy a bunch of them up because they're going to go to summer league and they want to get an autograph and they want to get it on a card and not?
Oh, that's a great point.
So
yeah.
you're like, all right, he's here now. Let's go get his card, and then it just so happens that
But don't get slapped in the face.
Don't get slapped in the face.
But you're right. That's a great point.
Wait your turn.
Nah, you're right. And they do sign for kids and stuff.
They'll do that. Yeah, it was when they're going to dinner and walking away from you at a brisk pace. Not the time.
Not the time. Yeah. Wrong time.
Not during that time.
I still think she just handled it wrong. Like you're Britney Spears. You didn't have enough confidence.
Yeah.
And swagger as a celebrity because all you really had to do was because she saw he was going to the same restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
And send your people over there
but I
to
think
talk to his people.
I think the problem was she wanted to be like a rom-com. And she taps him on the back, and he turns around. It's love at first sight, and then these things.
Wasn't there her husband or something there with her?
And her boyfriend.
It don't matter.
That's right. No. Oh man, that'd be great. That'd be as tasty as the Tom Brady Kim Kardashian rumors we're hearing about them on the beach at the white party and dancing at the white party.
Oh, spending a lot of time together.
Oh man, Tom Brady and Kim Kardashian.
You see that right there? Somebody just sent right there. Wemby's one-of-one autograph card says the first ever with the signature is worth over $100K.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have sold that thing immediately.
Well, no, you can't.
You got to hold on
to it.
Yeah, because when he wins the MVP and when he wins like his fifth title in San Antonio. And
yeah. You're going to be like that dude that sold his Apple stock.
Yeah, did it a little too soon.
Did way too soon, man.
Yeah,
now it's like $300 billion.
I was going through stuff.
It's like you bought a washing machine?
Exactly. You're going to be like, check out my new car. And you're like, you can drive it over to my mansion.
Exactly.
That 100 G's, that's that story of like Rocky is like that too. Sylvester Stallone, he was offered a ton of money. Not a ton, but he was offered like I think $250,000 total to not play the leading role in his own movie because he wrote Rocky.
Right.
And he was like, nah, I'm turning it down. He was broke at the time too. He had sold his damn dog and everything. And he decided, nope, I'll take less money, but give me the leading role. Brilliant.
I do have a question for you.
Don't always take the payday up front, man. Play the long game.
Yeah, play the long
Bet
game.
on yourself.
Do you think we get to see a pump fake from Serge Rice tonight?
No doubt.
Do we get to see it? Do we get the NBA get to see the pump fake for the first time?
The question is, does it work? Does it work?
Does it work? Does he get it? Does he get someone off his feet? And then we watch all the NBA players that are there do the freak out look like, did you see that?
Okay.
He's definitely doing it.
It's definitely happening.
He's definitely doing it.
Now, will it work? That's the question.
Because it's going to work.
I don't know how many of them know.
People.
Like, are you in this? Is it?
They scouting?
Is it in the scouting report now? Like, hey, by the way, I feel like most of the scouting report is basically, like, hey, that big French guy, don't let him kill us, and get the ball to Brandon Miller because he had 4 points in the last game, and Charlotte fans are already freaking out.
But the pump fake is like his signature. It's one of his signature moves.
It is.
And so every scouting report for Serge Rice will say this guy will try to get you with the pump fake, and it's the best in the country.
It'll say he'll try and get you the pump fake, and then he'll do it once, and they'll be flying by, and they go, "That was the pump fake." Oh, that really looked like a shot.
Yeah. That is true. That's a good point. You're like, that was it? Like, yeah, that was it. That's why it's so good.
Yeah.
A lot of people fall for it, just like you did. Yeah. Oh man, I like that. All right. Yeah, his pump fake, man. It's like that old line from Poison. It's a big button. Don't trust the big button.
They get you every time.
Don't trust the Serge Ibaka pump fake, man. Don't trust.
It will get you too.
Every time. Yeah. All right, we come back. We got the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday. That's when Patrick, the Ideallionaire, plays jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Radnar, and they're playing tonight at Hotel Vegas.
Radnar?
Radnar, spelled G-N-A-R. Radnar.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go. See, once again, I would love to know the genesis of the name.
I have no idea.
What's the backstory is. There's a backstory to that somehow. All right, there you go, my man Patrick, hooking you up on the 512 Friday. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, looking for somewhere to go hang out, kick it, enjoy some really good music by some really talented folks, some really cool venues, 512 Friday is for you. Thanks to all those folks on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. You can go check out Flex, FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. They're also coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll have your All Flex watch list for the best football players in the Flex area. That'll be coming up a little bit later on this month, so keep an eye out for that. But go to FLXATX.com. There are also all the replays from all the old Flex shows. You can get caught up with some of the best content about high school sports here in the area. All right, we're gonna come in. We're gonna get to some NFL. We haven't talked NFL in a couple of days, which is strange. Actually, there's been no NFL.
Yeah, it has
buzz
been
at all.
very
Quiet.
dead.
Yeah. Something's gonna happen. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell does not like this.
No, the closest thing I could find was the Packers general manager basically saying that the Jets would be on Hard Knocks, even though it hasn't been announced.
Right.
That was the most salacious thing I could find.
And you know what? That's a great point. And it's late. This is one of the latest times they've ever announced it.
This is forced.
Yeah,
this
nobody
is a
wants to
forced
do
setting.
it.
Nobody wants to do it.
Everybody assumes the Jets are going to be compelled to do it because they can force them to do it, but they don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do Hard Knocks.
Well, I heard E. Hogan bring this up, and this is something that as we continue to watch how the internet is taking over, teams are looking at it and saying we can do our own Hard Knocks.
That's very true.
Because a lot of teams did it last year. You can, I think it was on Amazon,
I believe.
Yeah, you had the Arizona Cardinals behind the scenes when they were practicing and things like that. So other people are trying to find ways to have their ways of making money instead of giving it to the NFL again by having them on Hard Knocks.
And I think ultimately the NFL gets their piece, but at least if you do it with Apple or Amazon or one of those other platforms, the NFL gets their piece, but then you still get some too.
The majority.
Yeah, because I think NFL Films is NFL Films, and you still got to use the NFL Films for it. But that's a good point.
Unless you can go and get what's the name? If you can go and get Omaha Productions with
you could do it just
Peyton Manning.
You could. I don't know the NFL's rules about allowing outside media sources to come film. I don't know the rules. I'm sure
How about
they do
the
it.
Netflix deal with Jerry Jones now? I mean, is that going to be through the NFL or is that going to be through Netflix?
I imagine some of the footage is, but Jerry Jones is he's basically the head. He's the head of the Owners Association. That is not a real organization, but if there was, he would be the head of it.
Yeah.
So I imagine the NFL don't want to mess with Jerry because Jerry will sue the NFL. He's done it before and won.
Yeah.
They know Jerry's like, no, we don't want to mess with Jerry. And Jerry, ultimately, he's just trying to make more money for the league. They know just what Jerry may not be a great owner when it comes to winning championships, but when it comes to making money and marketing a brand, there ain't a better mind, honestly, maybe in American sports than Jerry Jones.
Remember when the NFL was strictly, I believe it was Coca-Cola or Sprite, and Jerry said, "No, we're selling Pepsi."
Exactly.
Jerry's like, "No, I got Pepsi. We're gonna sell Pepsi."
Yeah, I'm making. No, what's best for the Dallas Cowboys is best for the league.
Exactly.
That's basically what he proved to the NFL. No, whatever's best for the Cowboys is best for the league.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Honestly, I think that still kind of applies. So yeah, we'll get into some NFL. We haven't talked a ton, so we'll talk some NFL on the other side and get into some of those news, notes, and nuggets. So stick around. We'll get into some Cowboys. The Cowboys may have found a diamond in the rough, and Kellen Moore giving a huge compliment to Dak Prescott.
Come on now.
And he is he's basically referencing something I said might be Dak's X-Man ability, and he essentially is confirming it. We discussed it before. We'll discuss it again. Hear that audio coming up next right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite tequila, my go-to tequila. It's Hot Cat Tequila. By now, everybody knows what it stands for because you know I've been telling you for a while, just cinnamon, agave, and tequila. The recipe is just as simple and just as delicious, just cinnamon, agave, and tequila. And it is Friday, and you know what that means. That means later on in my future, there will be some Hot Cat Tequila. It is fantastic, folks. Once you try it, trust me, you'll be a fan of Hot Cat Tequila. It is right now so light, so smooth, and tequila lovers out there, you'll love it because I'm a tequila lover. But even if you're not a fan of tequila, you'll love Hot Cat Tequila. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you'll never, ever, ever go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were trying to get the party started. Turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or any night on the town with family and friends. Best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Cat Tequila, that's cattequila.com, to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 5-1-2 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when Patrick, the Idealionaire, takes jams and songs from very talented human beings, artists that you have a chance to see live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is CeCe, and she is playing Saturday at Central Machine Works.
All right, CeCe. I like that. What's the name of this song?
The name Rich or Dead.
Rich or Dead? I'll choose Rich. Is it a choice?
Definitely.
I don't know if you get to make that choice.
That must be the Titan submersible.
I watched
Rich or Dead. I'm like, Rich.
I watched this Hood movie the other night. I'll tell you about it off air, but I watched this Hood movie the other night.
What platform was it on?
Amazon.
Okay.
It was Amazon, but it was straight.
Yeah, there's some Hood stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, there was straight Hood.
Yeah, because Amazon Prime, it was like you can get your stuff put on there a lot easier than other platforms.
Yeah,
like because you can just put it there's weird ways you can put it up there.
And it was out of Houston. It was a H-Town movie. It was 100%. And
H-Town,
the dude was like, "Say, man, you need to come to H-Town because, like 50 Cent say, we need to get this money because it's either get rich or die trying." And he said, "Well, let's get this money because I don't feel like dying today." I was all into this movie. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this,
What's
man.
What's the name of it?
I'll give it to you in just a second.
I don't know. I don't need to watch. I'm just curious. I hope you don't give it to me because I don't.
You're gonna watch it.
Then that'll make me want to watch
You're
it.
gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it.
All my streaming.
Sonny Bobo is out of jail. Just remember that.
All my streaming platforms, they think I'm black or they know I'm black because they.
I was like, I hope
they keep suggesting black content for me all the time too. And my wife is like, they know that you're black, and I was like, oh, I'm sure he does. It's the algorithm.
Yeah.
They got it. They already know. Now. And you got me watching stuff like that, then.
Oh, you gonna be on, man.
It's gonna be sending me content.
Yeah, you're going to be on.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into some off the record, actually. I know that was a little off the record. We'll get off the record coming up a little bit later on in the 4 o'clock. I want to get to some NFL news notes and nuggets here. Okay, so there are a couple of things I'll get to. I went to the Texans here a little bit, and we'll talk Cowboys coming up. But there is some sound from Peter Schrager, actually, from NFL. We have this audio here, Patrick. This is Peter Schrager, and he does great work for Is it Good Morning Football?
Yeah.
Good
Morning Football.
I don't get a chance to watch it as much,
Yeah.
but every time I watch it and I see content from it, it's really good. And he was speaking to Kellen Moore about Dak Prescott and told a story about Dak Prescott. And here is the audio because we've talked about what sets Dak Prescott apart, what makes him special. I remember Harge reading those Cole Beasley comments about Dak Prescott and how people don't understand what a special leader is. And I don't know if it was I don't know if he meant to intentionally kind of disrespect Josh Allen, but he basically said that Dak Prescott was the best leader he had been around. I was like, hey, you played with Josh Allen. So Josh Allen, obviously not the leader that Dak Prescott is, not saying he's a bad one. But in this audio, they talk about the leadership ability and skill of one Dak Prescott. Here it is.
As a player and as a man, your experience with Dak Prescott, what would you want listeners to know?
The best person. I think the best leader I've ever been around. Easily, and in all honesty, player or coach or anything. I think his ability to connect with a team in all spectrums is rare, and I've never seen it in any other way. His work ethic, his command, I think he's incredible. And so I know, we've all been through that Dallas journey, and he has a phenomenal way of being able to deal with probably more than your average NFL starting quarterback, and he handles it beautifully. And he's certainly a guy you forever root for.
Most incredible leader I've ever been around, player or coach. This guy's dad was a coach.
Yes.
Like Kellen Moore's from a coaching family. He has been around coaches forever and been around some damn good coaches too. And that is a hell of a coach. And now, by the way, I did say, and I've said this before, there's been no relationship, arguably, in the history of the NFL like Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott's relationship. I mean, think about it. They competed against one another on the same roster as QB2 and QB3. Kellen Moore gets hurt. Dak gets the starting job. And then Kellen Moore becomes his quarterback coach. And then Kellen Moore becomes his offensive coordinator and play caller as well. that you just don't have relationships that happen like that because of how unique the Dallas Cowboys are as an organization, and they usually promote from within. They love promoting from within. All right, when they look for a job opening, or they're looking for candidates for a job opening, they usually think the best candidates are in-house, whether that's good or bad for the Cowboys. But
sometimes it's bad. Dave Campo.
I agree. It ain't always good. They did it again this year. They did it with Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer,
right?
That's right.
They love the in-house hire. But anyway, that's what Kellen Moore was, because he was the wonderkin, and they promoted him from within, and he had that unique relationship with Dak. So I'm not surprised to hear him say something really heartfelt and sentimental about Dak like that. But, man, the greatest leader I've ever been around, player or coach. I've said Dak's X-Man ability, the thing that sets him apart, that makes him better, or he does better, or as well as any other quarterback out there, is his leadership ability. He is a natural leader.
He's definitely a natural leader, and that's something that we've all talked about. And if you listen to anybody that's ever spent time with him, and if you listen to any of his interviews, you know that he can command a room. He can demand respect when he walks in it because of the way that he carries himself. You don't ever hear him say any ill will towards anybody.
No.
He's always out front. He takes the blame when he deserves to, and he takes the blame when half of the time it's not even his fault. So there's a lot of things that you can say about leadership, and I credit how he was raised. I credit the people that are been around him throughout his life, and the dude has been through a lot in his life. So maturity is something that you definitely need in your locker room, and what better place to get it than with your starting quarterback?
Yeah, no, it's I thought those comments were interesting, to say the least. Cause,
especially because you said his father was a coach.
Well, his father was a coach. He's been around a lot of great coaches, I'm assuming, in his time. Didn't he, because he played at Boise State.
Yeah.
He was there with Chris Peterson.
He was with Peterson.
He was
a coach.
A damn good coach, too.
Yep.
Brian Harsin was his OC, I believe, and Harsin was a decent coach. And he's, like I said, been around some really good players, too, on that within the Cowboys organization. He's been everybody that played for the Cowboys while he was there. He didn't mention any of them.
No, he did not.
There's some great players that played with the Cowboys. He didn't mention.
And he was there with Tony.
I'm a homosexual.
Yeah, he was with Tony.
Tony.
Yeah, he did
not. He didn't mention Tony at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it just slipped his mind.
Tony slipped his mind?
Yeah, because it was fresh. That's fresh. He just broke up with Dak. I mean, he just got,
I think he does. He loves Dak.
Yeah.
He's a big Dak fan.
I love the fact that you point out this is the most unique situation that anybody could be in, from being a locker mate to in the same film room to the quarterback's coach to now your OC. Yeah, but sometimes in those situations you have to make a change to expand.
No, I agree with the change. I don't disagree with them.
No doubt.
Something had to change. They got to get past the divisional round, and you weren't going to fire your coach,
right?
And you're not going to change your quarterback.
Yep.
You're not going to change your DC because your defense was top 5.
Right.
What were you going to change? That's when you check off all the boxes or check off all the names off the list. He's the most likely to move on. And by the way, you can argue
he needed to.
He should have already moved on.
Yeah, he should have been a head coach somewhere. Remember, because he did interview, and he should have went somewhere else because, like Eric Public Bieniemy, you might need to go somewhere else if you need to expand your resume as well.
Well, I think he read the tea leaves and saw that the next coach in waiting isn't me anymore. It's Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
I used to be the coach in waiting before Dan Quinn came, and now I know Jerry Jones really well, and I used to be the apple of his eye, and now he's walking around talking about Dan Quinn everywhere, and he's inviting Dan Quinn to the office.
Right.
He's inviting Dan Quinn to go to lunch. He wants
to the yacht.
To the yacht. Dan Quinn gets to go hang out. Yeah, it used to be me. He's like, I got to get the hell out of here, man. I've been demoted.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he saw, too, just conspiracy theory-wise.
Yeah.
But speaking of Dan Quinn, I saw this. Dan Quinn has been raving about Eric Scott Jr. For those who are unfamiliar with Eric Scott Jr.
Southern Miss.
Yes. Mm-hmm. See, Hardy's our resident Cowboys fans. He know him really well. He's a 6th-round pick for the Cowboys on day 3. 6th-round pick. And this is, Dan Quinn's been raving about him. He basically said this, quote, Eric Scott Jr. isn't likely to crack the starting lineup for the Cowboys, but he earned the attention of Quinn with the way he stepped up in OTAs. Scott has a lot of work to do, but it will be interesting to see if he can climb the depth chart after standing out, because Quinn basically started talking about how much he liked Eric Scott Jr. and brought his name up when he was asked about standouts who were late-round draft picks for the Cowboys and rookies to watch. He had some really complimentary things to say about him. They're already really deep on the back end.
Yeah.
I bring this up to show the depth that the Cowboys have because we forget that Jordan Lewis is coming back now. You got DaRon Bland, so you got 2 nickel defenders.
And don't forget, DaRon Bland was a later-round pick, too.
5th-round pick, I believe.
They find those jewels.
Dan Quinn does.
Yes.
Dan Quinn finds you great value late in the draft and knows how to maximize it. And then you have your 3 safeties, which probably is the deepest safety core in the NFL. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's definitely the deepest.
Yep.
Nobody's got 3 starting safeties like that, like the Cowboys do, and use them 40% of the time. And then you got upgrade at corner with Gilmore and Diggs. And I'm not even bringing up some of the other guys, too.
No.
That, some of the other guys who should be fighting for spots. I know Bossman Fats is not really on people's list, but that's another guy that's
He's
out
been
there.
doing well, too, and he had a great minicamp.
They actually did rave about him.
They talked about him, and they said he's grown mentally and matured a lot on the football field because he saw his film last year.
They got Nahshon Wright, who they
Yes.
like. Makuyamu,
Yes.
who is a J-Run Curse starter kid. I think if
Super Bowl. You got me hyped.
No, that secondary.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I know it's why I would put it in the top 5 easily, but I think you can make an argument it's a top 3 secondary in the league depending on how they perform. But if this kid, Eric Scott Jr., ends up playing at a really high level and he can crack the roster for the Cowboys, I wouldn't doubt if they're thinking about trading Bossman Fats, and that's why the preseason is going to be really big for him.
That's why he was selling.
Yes.
That's why they were selling him. Oh, he's had a great camp.
Yes.
Oh, he's doing so much better. Looks like he's changed,
No
matured.
question.
And you talked about Jordan Lewis, and Jordan Lewis may be another guy that they say, okay, DaRon Bland, you did well. Now, boom, let me see if you can move somewhere else now.
He's a guy that's got a little bit of a multiplicity in skill set, and we know Dan Quinn loves to move guys around too. Remember they moved Bossman Fats around.
Yeah,
he played safety actually, and some nickel this past offseason for the Cowboys. So Cowboys secondary looking like it's in pretty good shape because right now they got depth. It seems like every position. Like I said, slot corner, actual cornerback, they got some depth there too. And at safety, like I said, they're one of the deepest teams in the country deepest teams in the NFL when it comes to safety position. All right, let's get to another, and we'll talk some Texans here a little bit too. The NFL.com is where I got this article. They were projecting the rookies of basically the all-rookie team, I should say, and kind of the rookies of the year on the all-rookie team. The Texans got a lot of love on this all-rookie team, and they did project that Will Anderson will be on the all-rookie team. And they do have him as one of their favorites to win Defensive Player of the Year. If that does happen for the Texans, that would make the trade, which was it was a huge trade by them. There's a lot of draft capital they invested. It would show the fans that Nick Caserio may be the right guy for the job. Right now, I think there's a lot of doubt about Nick Caserio.
Yeah.
And I think C.J. Stroud is going to work out regardless. And Will Anderson, I think, for me, he's the one, that move they made for Will Anderson, that is the move that's being questioned the most. Most people are looking at it as a package deal with CJ and Will Anderson, but the Will Anderson move cost them a lot more draft capital than the CJ Stroud move, which was their natural pick. They traded back up in that round to go get Will Anderson, and it's got to be worth it for them. They got their 2 franchise pieces, though, offense and defense. That's probably most important.
Yeah, and that's what you need for your cornerstones. That is what your hope was. You gave up something to go and make that move, but the bigger picture is where are you going to be in 3 years? We're not worried about the immediate turnaround right now because that's not what they're built for. You want to win games, you want to be put in position, but you're more looking towards the year after next. Not this season, not next season, the 3rd year. You want to be competing at a very high level. And even in that conference, you want to make sure that you're pushing it. In that division, you want to make sure that you can go out there and get it done too. So I'm all in with the moves. I'm all in with the draft pick. Obviously, the big pickup with DeMeco Ryans is going to be changing the narrative there, and he's going to be there for more than 1 year, guys.
Well, yeah, he's got to.
Yeah. But I will say, as much as it is, I agree that this is a long-term plan and you're trying to be a year ahead of schedule. That's why you get Will Anderson, and you believe that he's worth taking, that there may not be a guy in next year's draft who is comparable to him. Yeah. All those I get. If you are not fifth worst team or better, then it's going to be hard to identify. I don't know. We took him at 3, and we could have the third pick next year too, but we gave up multiple picks to have the third pick next year and to give up the third pick next year.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes harder. But if it's a 7th pick, it's a little bit easier. If it's the 9th pick, it's even easier. And if you get into the teens and all that, then, well, what a great trade.
No, you're right, because we now know, based on the audio from the whose front office was that? Was it the Colts?
The Cardinals?
Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Cardinals front office. That Nick Caserio gave up the first round pick he gave up their first round pick, basically, the Cleveland Browns first round pick.
Yeah, they kept Cleveland's.
They kept it, they gave up their own instead of the Cleveland Browns first round pick, which basically means he's betting on the Texans to be a good team next year.
Yeah, and
to have a low draft pick.
And it clearly has more value because the Cardinals can take the first rounder and sell their fan base. We could have the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft, or they're going to sell their fan base. We could have the number 1 pick in the draft and win a Super Bowl. But they could have the number 1 and number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And if you have Cleveland's, you're like, well, no, we get a decent first round pick. But they're not going to completely bottom out, whereas the Texans have to improve to stop bottoming out.
Yeah, a lot of people are criticizing the fact that, you made a risky decision there, a risky gamble. That maybe the Texans are going to be really good next year.
But I like it. I like the gamble. You got to gamble.
I do too.
You got to risk.
That's a lot of gambling, though. The trade back up to Will Anderson, like I said, it's all worth it because DeMeco Ryans is a defensive coach, and he wants his defensive franchise piece. I get all that, and they got C.J. Stroud, so they got them both, and that can expedite or accelerate the rebuild or whatever. I get it. But they gave up a lot for it. Remember, according to ESPN Analytics and their approximate value-based draft valuation tools, the only draft pick in the past 20 drafts that was a bigger overpayment based on their analytic tools was the Julio Jones trade up, which was worth it, by the way.
Yep.
Because he ended up being a
That's
Hall
what
of
I'm
Fame
saying.
wide receiver.
So, sometimes you got to risk it.
Yeah, no risk, no biscuit.
That's right.
No, I totally agree. But it just everybody knows there's a lot of gambling going on by Nick Caserio, and if it doesn't pay off, and Will Anderson isn't Defensive Player of the Year, people are going to be questioning him because he's one of the only. I always give this stat because it's so crazy. He is one of the only GMs in NFL history, actually, the only in NFL GM in NFL history in the Super Bowl era, to be allowed to hire a third head coach after consecutive one-and-done head coaches.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll say,
ridiculous.
Right?
I think you have to do that somewhat for the fans, that you go, hey, we've tanked a bunch of years in a row, we fired a bunch of coaches, but we're really doing it. But in reality, Nick Caserio has to do it as a GM who wants to keep his job, because if he doesn't draft a defensive player up top, now the head coach doesn't have his back. The head coach is like, man, I wanted Will Anderson, and you went and got a quarterback. And if he doesn't take a quarterback, the odds of him finding a quarterback, if they're okay next year and have the 7th, 8th pick, drops dramatically. And now he doesn't have his quarterback, and he knows, well, my time is short, because if I don't have a quarterback, how long before we cap out at 8, 9 wins, and they need a new GM? So really, I have to get both guys to keep my job. I have to gamble. Because I'm so far behind that I've already bet the house. It is time to bet the car, bet my wife, bet everything else to try and get ahead.
No, you're right. That's a great point about DeMeco Ryans. That DeMeco says, hey, Will Anderson's my guy.
Yep.
And you're basically going to fracture your relationship before it even starts if you don't get who he says is his guy, and you have the ability to do it. So you please him, and then you're thinking, hell, all the owner of the franchise and the fans, they all want a quarterback.
Yeah.
We got to get a quarterback, or we can't put butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to
come.
come.
If I stick Davis Mills back out there another year, my head's on the chopping block.
Exactly.
And then if DeMeco Ryans is a good coach and we win 6 games next year, I don't have a court now. I don't have any. I got to try and trade up to get a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, if it all pays off, he's going to look brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I said, if Will Anderson doesn't work out or the C.J. Stroud doesn't work out, it'll be bad. But I got I got faith. I think it's going to work out for him.
We need faith.
Jalen Carter also makes it for Philadelphia on this all-rookie team, preseason all-rookie team. B.J. Ojulari, who's drafted by the Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers, Luke Van Ness makes it on the edge. Jack Campbell, the linebacker for Detroit. Drew Sanders, Denver Broncos linebacker. Dorian Williams for Buffalo. Christian Gonzalez from New England. Tyreek Stevenson. Jatarvis Martin, also Washington as a DB. Safety Antonio Johnson. And special teams, return specialist Tank Dell for the Texans. Shout out there. So Tank Dell getting a little bit of love there on that all-rookie team at NFL.com. So we'll get into some more NFL news, notes, and nuggets a little bit later on in the show. But for now, let's get into the Hard Knock Life, what you got for the people.
That's right. We got a special gift. We're going to talk a little bit about Texas State football. It's right around the corner. And we got my man, Kev Chardello, that's going to join us. He covers the Texas State Bobcats. I'm really interested to see, with all the changes in San Marcos, how excited he is about this football team this year.
Yeah, I actually can't wait for this conversation, too, because there's been a lot of buzz coming out of Texas State.
No doubt.
All right, so we'll talk about that. More football discussion in Hard Knock Life on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my favorite light beer. That's Bud Light, especially on a Friday. We are starting up the weekend. There's no better way to start the weekend than to do it with the world's favorite light beer. That's Bud Light, because Bud Light can turn those good times into great times, and that's what the weekend's all about having a good time with good friends, good food. As a matter of fact, this weekend, I'll be enjoying some good food with good friends and my favorite beer, Bud Light. I suggest you do the same when you're stopping by your local grocery store or convenience store. Pick up a nice ice-cold case of Bud Light, or if you're going out for happy hour tonight or hanging out with friends and family, just going out to dinner, maybe you're enjoying the Austin nightlife, whatever you're doing, you can do it with the world's best-selling light beer, Bud Light, because Bud Light is the sure sign of a good time, because if you want to get the good times going, you got to keep the Bud Light flowing. Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart of Texas, by Texans, for Texans, and damn proud of it.
Welcome back to a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. And you can also follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. So hit us up on the Specs text line 512-337-3776. And joining us right now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline is a young man that I've had the pleasure of being in some of the press conferences with down there at Texas State. He's been working his butt off for Texas State and getting you all the information that you could possibly need. He's part of the Austin American Statesman. You can follow him at Keff, KEFF_C. He is joining us right now is my man Keff Chardello. Keff, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're all excited about it. My man Rob Babers and I have been going back and forth, kind of going back, thinking about, the time with our man Jake Spavital. He was there for 4 seasons. Didn't turn out the way that he wanted, 13-3. You go out, you make a big move, you got a new president, you've got a new athletic director, and they decided they wanted to go in a different direction and moving up. And then you go and get G.J. Kinney, who is, Texas native, former Longhorn, been a part of this state, knows the high school coaches, and they make a splash hire with that. So far, what have you noticed about G.J. Kinney and what he's done to change the program?
Well, right off the bat, he's invigorated this place. I mean, the increase in donations have been pretty apparent. They've announced them quite a bit. The school has. It's not just that, but also even recruiting. They've signed 50 guys for the 2023 class already. It should finish around 53 by the time the summer's all done. That's basically 2 recruiting classes in one that he's come in and done since he got here in December. That right off the bat just completely changes the profile of the team when they bring in all these transfers. I think it's something like 24 P5 transfers, or maybe it's 17 P5 transfers, 24 FBS transfers. That's what that one is. But and just talking to fans around and everybody, it's a different feel to this program than has been in years past. Even when Spavital was hired 4 years ago, people were pretty excited, but they were still pretty timid after the Everett Withers era that went down. But with G.J. Kinney coming in, it feels like everybody looked at Incarnate Word last year, the number 1 offense in the country, over 50 points a game. Lindsey Scott Jr. throwing up like 60 touchdowns on that season. Everybody took a look at that and just started salivating, thinking about that being in maroon and gold. So it's just the mindset is different, but we're still in that period before the season where it's almost the honeymoon of the whole situation, where everyone it hasn't come to fruition yet. So nobody really knows what it's going to look like, but everybody's expecting it to be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing number about how much turnover and how many new players he signed in just the 7 months he's been on the job. I heard a stat somewhere that Colorado is the only other school that's added more players in the last 7 months. So that's a big number. But Kev, I want to ask you about these new faces. Which one of these players are, obviously how many of these players and which ones are going to, in your opinion, be foundational pieces that G.J. Kinney can build upon with this program, offense, defense, or even special teams?
Gosh, it's going to be most of the starting lineup is going to be these new guys. I mean, when you have 85 scholarships per year and you're bringing in over 50 guys, I mean, you're going to be starting a bunch of them. I think the number one place to look at is quarterback. When they brought in 2 different SEC quarterbacks that transferred in. They got Malik Hornsby to come over from Arkansas. He's more of a speedster, that dual threat quarterback. And then after spring practice happened, when Hornsby was really running the offense, they went out and got TJ Finley to transfer in from Auburn. He's a different type of quarterback. He's tall, 6'6", about 250. He's more hangs in the pocket a little more. He can be elusive in the pocket, but he definitely hangs in there. So, I mean, they go out and they get 2 SEC quarterbacks, pair those 2 along with a third quarterback in C.J. Rogers, a Baylor transfer who didn't play his first year last year with the Bobcats, but looked pretty good in the spring. It's a true quarterback competition there. I think the 2 lead guys are going to be Finley and Hornsby. I mean, transferring in from SEC schools, as I said. It's interesting how different styles those 2 play. But I wouldn't count out C.J. Rogers either. I mean, he's a terrific player. But it's definitely going to be a new quarterback for sure this season. One of these guys coming in. But the offensive line is probably the second biggest spot. They went out and got 11 or 12 offensive linemen. A lot of them are P5 transfers. It's going to be a whole new offensive line. I say a lot of them are P5 transfers, but also a lot of them are Incarnate Word transfers. 5 offensive linemen followed G.J. Kinney from Incarnate Word. It's one of 5 of 9 players from Incarnate Word to transfer over. So I imagine they're going to play a lot of those guys too, familiarity with the system and everything. I mean, not just 9 players, but 6 coaches as well. So they're trying to implement that same scheme that they had at Incarnate Word.
Yeah, we're talking to Kev Chardello. He covers the Texas State Bobcats, and we've been really following this team for quite some time. Obviously, we brought up the Jake Spavital years and what he was able to do, and Rod even knows Everett Withers from his time at the University of Texas was Rod's old coach. So you sit here and you look at all the turnover, and you mentioned the quarterback position, but you also have some guys out there that can catch it too. You know, you bring in a Bo Corrales he used to be at Georgetown. I remember him when he was at Georgetown, but he went to North Carolina, played at SMU, a lot of experience at the wide receiver position. You talked about the O-line and the experience that they have there, but you also need to talk about the defensive line because, you know, the trenches are where everything happens, and that was something too, even though last year Zach Spavital's defense played at a very high level, but now there's some changes that are coming in. How are the players that are still there and the new ones coming in adjusting to the new types of offense and defense as they get to Texas State?
Yeah, and you know, Rod, shout out to Everett Withers. His time here wasn't that great as far as wins are concerned, but he did a lot. He did a lot to bring to light the shortcomings of the administration, and I think that enacted a lot of changes that we're seeing today that we're all happy about. So I at least give him credit for that. But as far as the players, especially, I heard you name Bo Corrales, a wide receiver. 7 years ago, he was committed to Texas State out of Georgetown. Ended up going to North Carolina, then SMU after that. Injuries, COVID prolonged his career. He's playing his last year here with the Bobcats. I think he's a player that you could see get into the rotation, especially he's one of the few guys with just 1 year left, and he's got a different style that they need at receiver. He's a tall guy at 6'4", and then in the spring, that's kind of one area they were lacking was height at receiver. As with the style of this offense, it's going to be completely different. And adjusting to that, what might be difficult for some of these transfers, but a lot of them are used to this type of ball, where as soon as the play is done, you sprint to the ball and you get the next play going right away. And a lot of it is they don't even call plays from the sideline. It's a vertically choice-driven offense, is how I've heard it described from the coaches.
I like that.
Where the quarterback decides, like, hey, is it a QB option? Am I going to throw it deep? What are we going to do here? It kind of depends on what they're seeing from the defense and everything. So I think there's going to be a lot of adjustment. We saw that, a little bit of struggles in the spring, I think with Malik Hornsby, and that's why they went out and got TJ Finley just as some insurance. They just want to make sure that they're covering all bases. You mentioned the defensive line as well, and there's another local guy who was really wrecking shop on the defensive line in the spring, and that's Ben Bell, right from Cedar Park. His brother Levi Bell had a really great season last year. Went to the Baltimore Ravens camp, got cut, and now he's with Michigan Panthers in the USFL. But his little brother Ben Bell had 4 sacks in the spring game. He's put on 30 pounds. G.J. Kinney and Jonathan Papke, the defensive coordinator, they don't use an outside linebacker. They do a 4-2-5, which is different than Zach Spavital's defense last year and the years prior. So they're moving Ben Bell from outside linebacker to defensive end. That's why he put on all that weight. He's looking like he's going to be a beast there.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm liking this.
Kev, I actually still talk to Coach Withers every now and then. I think he's at Temple now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he is
up
with
there.
Stan Drayton.
I believe he is, if I'm not mistaken. I will let him know that you said those kind words about him, brother. I'm sure he'll appreciate that from Texas State fans. Hey, let me ask you this, though, Kev, about this team in – you know, we live in a new era, the NIL/transfer portal era, where the free market has finally hit college sports. You know, Texas State is in a unique position of bringing in a lot of new Guys, but I heard Coach Spavital complain about this too, and I wonder if Coach Kinney, Coach G.J. Kinney has even brought it up, and that once a player excels at Texas State these days, they immediately are looking for the upgrade. They're immediately looking to play, look as a stepping stone. They want to play at a university with a higher profile. Does G.J. Kinney have a plan for that? Because it's almost like you have to plan on success, that you're going to develop these guys really well, and they're all going to play well, and you're going to win a lot of games. And when you do, ultimately, they're going to look where they could, make the most money and create the most value in the free market we live in the transfer portal. How do you remedy that if you're Texas State?
Yeah, and no doubt. And these young athletes, it's their right, absolutely their right to pursue and capitalize on this situation. And when I've asked G.J. Kinney about that, when I'm like, how do you combat this? How do you keep guys here, especially at a smaller program like Texas State? He says culture, and that's what you have to do. You have to breed a culture. I think that's what a lot of coaches say. They like to say culture. But he's saying if you breed a culture that makes people want to stay, that makes them believe in this program, and everyone has a shared vision, he thinks that he can keep people from the transfer portal. Now, obviously, money's going to talk. So, I mean, if these guys are going to get an exuberant offer, they're probably going to take it. Texas State saw that happen with Zion Childress a couple years back. Really, really good safety his freshman season, but after that freshman year, got an NIL deal at Kentucky, and off he went. Yeah. So it's going to happen. It's the nature of the beast, but I think it's the main thing is that the transfer portal gives, but it also takes, and it can give. And especially when you look at some of these players, we were just talking about the 50 that they've brought in, that's where it gives. There's some of these guys that go off to these P5 programs and they don't get any playing time, but now they have an opportunity at Texas State. Yep. So I think you just have to look at the balance with it. And it's just the new age that we're living in.
Yeah, and everybody's adjusting to it. We talk about it daily. So before we let you go, Kev, and this has been outstanding, and I'll definitely stay in touch with you, but I wanted to find out, the Sun Belt Conference, everybody knows how tough it is. It's getting a lot of pub. There's a lot of great, talented teams. With the new additions, the new head coach, what are realistic expectations for the Texas State fan base right now as they head into the first year of G.J. Kinney and him being in the Sun Belt Conference?
Well, it's exciting when you talk about the 50 new recruits and all these new great things and donations coming in. But then you look at recent history with Texas State, and it's been 8 years since they've had a winning record. And G.J. Kinney didn't really get any favors from the Sun Belt with his schedule. It's a pretty tough one coming up. That being said, when you look at it with Vegas, they have Texas State at 4.5 wins. I say the Bobcats will get more than that. I think it might be. I don't know if they're going to. I'm not confident enough yet before I get to fall camp to say they'll win the Sun Belt or something. But I think this is as good a chance as any for them to get over that 6-win threshold. It's kind of been a monkey on the back here for this program to finally get to a bowl game. I think this is as good a chance as any with all the new players they brought in, with how invigorated everybody is, and with a good young coach like G.J. Kinney. I think it's a great time for them to capitalize on it all.
I think everybody is excited about it. Nice. I know that we keep looking down there, and we've been watching the transfers coming in and out. You got Derek Brown, who used to be a Texas Longhorn, who decided to transfer there. I mentioned Bo Corrales. You got a young man from Killeen, my city. You know what I'm talking about. That's where it goes down, Dontavius Burrows. So I'm all excited about it. I've always been a big fan of Texas State. My uncle played quarterback there, part of the national championship team. One of my homeboys, Vicente Reed, he's a big-time supporter of the program. I told him you were going to be on to talk about this, so he's listening to it too. I'm excited for the Bobcat Nation. I'm a big fan of Jake Spavital. He's one of my closest friends, but in every business there's change, and hopefully for Texas State fans, they get what they've been working hard for, and the success begins to follow.
Man, absolutely. And, I have a podcast, Win Now or Get Bent, where I talk all about Texas State. I need to have you on sometime, Mike. I didn't know your dad was one of the national champions.
Yeah, cool. My uncle Greg Hambone Hamilton, he was a national champion there for Coach Wacker. So I'm definitely involved in that, man.
That's great.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, and I know we have a good mutual friend in Ty Harrington too. No doubt.
Well, it seems
Yeah.
like Ty knows a little bit of
Yeah.
everybody down there at Texas State.
And Kev, back in the day, before it was Texas State, I used to date a ton of chicks from Southwest, bro. So I got my connections too. You know what I mean? I got it in there.
He was
you know
down.
what I'm saying?
He was down there with the Struthers,
Oh,
if you know what I mean.
When they would come down here and get a little too tipsy and they didn't want to drive all the way back, I would offer them safe haven. So had a lot of fun. There you go.
I don't doubt it, Rod. I don't doubt that at all, man. Mark, it's a great time.
It is a great time for sure. Kev, man, as always, make sure you stay in touch, and we'll definitely talk again, my friend.
Awesome. Back at y'all. Thanks.
Appreciate
Kev.
it. Yeah, Kev did a great job.
He's
He
awesome.
does a great job covering the Texas State Bobcats.
What did he say the name
He's
of the podcast was?
I got it right here.
You got it?
Win or get bent or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up. What's his? We got to look him up. See,
It's at Keff_C, KEFF, and it's Win or Get Bent
When I get bent.
podcast.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that out.
So he does a good job. And
does a
also,
great
he's on
job.
Threads too now. Everybody's on Threads.
You guys got me paranoid about getting your name yesterday from the Threads that I went and did it.
Yeah, I know.
It's y'all's
and I
peer
clicked,
pressure.
Hey, look, and I clicked you, and I'm following you now.
I know. I caved to peer pressure. Do I follow you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I caved to peer pressure. I was like, damn, Patrick's right. What if some a-hole out there gets Rod Babers and I want to have it? And
Yeah, you
Thread
better
blows
get out
up.
there. You got to get out there
So
and get
I
it, man,
did
so
it.
you get your own
I
trademark.
got suckered into it like the rest of y'all. Damn it! Like I
Yeah.
need another social media platform to
You
post. I
don't have
barely
to
post
use
on the
it.
one I got.
You just got to keep it. You just got to
Yeah,
get
you
it.
just gotta get
put
it
it in the
and
put it in
keep
the
it moving.
cabinet, and then later on, if it becomes a thing, then you're like, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
That's true. I guess.
Versus
Yeah.
like,
You're
oh,
there.
now I got to get on, and it's Rod Babers.
That is no, you're right about that. Not to put
Then
some
you
weird
got to be,
name.
it's Rod Babers.
Yeah, it's Rod Babers. That's true. But no, there are like four Patrick Davises just in Austin alone.
I know.
that we
there's a
really
lot
well.
of there's a lot of us.
He worked for. Did you work for Patrick Davis?
Yes.
That is the most surreal thing.
They were pointing at each other like Spider-Man.
It is great though in the job interview. You knew you were going to get the job.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
sat down and both
Yeah.
your names were Patrick Davis.
Yeah, when you're sending emails back and forth, and you're like, wait, did I send that one? Did he send?
Yeah.
For real, you're like, bro, how can you not hire me? Come on, man. I got the same name.
Yep.
All right, we'll come back. We'll get into a little off the record on the other side. Apparently, Marcus Jordan is at it again, gentlemen, and he's shaming one Scottie Pippen with his new relationship. Well, it's not a new relationship. It's been going on for a long time now.
Yeah.
With Larsa Pippen. We'll give you an update there. We'll also get into some other hijinks on Off the Record right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for a little off of the record here, gentlemen. And, we could just talk about the Wemby story. I mean, that's technically off the record. Well, we'll give you an update on the Wemby Britney Spears controversy because, yes, that is a story, but also a story that I saw at TMZ and the Daily Mail. Marcus Jordan. Yes, that Marcus Jordan, the son. That's a great Boomerang reference there. Good stuff.
I got you, man.
Eartha Kitt. I like that.
I got you.
But yes, he was spotted at a birthday, Larsa Pippen's birthday. Well, he was basically motorboating Larsa Pippen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the world to see. That was one of his birthday surprises for her. They just got video of him just going to town.
Yeah.
Just you motorboating son of a gun with Larsa Pippen.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, how far is this going to go? We thought it was a bit. They've been dating for a while now.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this real? This might be real.
No, it's 100% real because she wants to be Pippen Jordan.
She has said that. I thought she was joking, but she did say that. She said, I want to be Pippen Jordan.
Man.
Larsa Pippen Jordan, which would be amazing.
I know we did see
Terrible.
Michael Jordan. Some paparazzi asked him if he approved of it, and he said no.
Yeah.
Oh, MJ.
Yeah, he
MJ,
did.
Someone,
Yeah,
someone
he was
yelled
in
at him. They
Italy.
go, "Do you approve of your son dating Larsa Pippen?" And he said no, and then got in the van and drove off.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's the first time we've heard from the Golden
So
State.
he has said no. Now we all know he approved of it. He has planned it all. He's doing this to get back at Scottie Pippen, talking trash about him. But
Scottie Pippen won't shut up about MJ, though.
well, I get
He's
it
mad
because
about
his
the last
kid
dance thing.
is motorboating his ex-wife in public. I'd be mad too.
Smoking hookahs out of her.
Yeah, I'd be mad. I'd be like, yeah, he wasn't the best teammates. I'm not gonna question his fathering skills, but maybe put a leash on it.
I know, but didn't Larsa, which was it? Because you'll know this, Patrick, because you know all your NBA players. She was dating an NBA player that ended up teammates with,
Scottie Pippen Jr.
I remember that.
Malik. Oh, man.
I think you're right about this.
His name is Malik.
Is it Beasley
something.
now?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Malik Beasley.
Was it Malik Beasley or was it? It might have been someone before that. But
There was a lot.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
she's dating multiple NBA players. She's 49 now, and he's 32.
Yeah,
So-
they were partying for her birthday.
No, I know. She's Aunt Larsa.
Larsa.
Oh, you know what? She probably was around
Yes.
for the birth. She was probably
she's
around
Scotty's
for the
husband.
birth.
She was Aunt Larsa at some point in his life.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, that's so
true.
disgusting. But you're
Yeah,
right.
but
You're
it's
definitely
so
right.
true.
You're right.
It's so
Oh,
true.
that's
Yeah.
It just now it took on a whole new
No, she went
sickness.
she went to Aunt to Mommy.
Wow. And MJ, MJ could stop this if he wanted.
Did you
There's
say-
no way MJ couldn't stop this. MJ could
I don't
stop
know. He
this.
couldn't have a winning season with the Hornets, so I don't know. His powers are limited.
Well, here's the thing, too. I mean, at this point, Marcus is
man.
32.
Yeah.
He's already inherited some of the money.
Oh
already.
yeah, he's got a trust
the-
fund.
yeah,
he's got
he's
trust
already
fund.
got
He's
the
good.
money.
He doesn't need that anymore. He's got
No.
a trust fund.
You can't
trust
tell
fund
me
is set
what
up for
to
him.
do.
Yeah, he's got $50 million
I'm
for the
a
rest of his life.
grown man,
That's
Dad.
true. That is true.
You know?
No, you're right.
So he can't stop it. He don't have to agree. There's been plenty of girls that I've dated that my mama didn't agree with, but I still dated them.
But was that woman a woman that was like your aunt? As one?
No, she was
Did she
older.
babysit you at one point? That
No,
woman?
she-
That's basically what could have happened here.
That definitely could have been something that it was
Like
happening.
they was at the crib, like
At the crib.
playing,
Yeah.
playing with some toys.
She was
or
like,
something
man,
with
I
the
can't
kids."
wait for him to get older. He's so cute.
He's just like 5 years old and looks over at his friend. And he's like, one day. And they're like, whatever, shut up. And
I bet you I do.
now he's just,
bet you.
Bramski. Hey, come on, guys.
Yeah, he's motorboating her in public. That is
In public.
I've never motorboated my wife in public.
Yeah,
Man.
because you're not a weirdo who dates your aunt.
But my point is, guys, I do think now there's some substance to this.
She was
Usually-
with Future. Don't
Yeah.
forget about that, too.
And
Hey.
she's a housewife now, so there's a good chance you could see Marcus Jordan. Well, she's been a housewife for a little while. Real Housewives of Miami, I think it is. There's a good chance Marcus Jordan could be on the Housewives. She's referenced him on the reunion,
Oh,
so
definitely.
he could be on next season potentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I
he's
mean,
gonna
I
be
think
there.
I think as long as he keeps her in the tabloids and stuff, and I think they'll just appreciate that relationship of dysfunction and everything else to just be like, hey, no, let's do this
It's a little.
Hey, do you remember? You remember when the Bulls were in the finals, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I remember when the Bulls were in the finals, and we went to Disney, and I put, oh wait a minute,
I went to Disney.
Man, had a different recollection of that.
One texter said, "I motorboat the ish out of my wife."
In public.
Okay, maybe I didn't know you had that privilege when you got married. Hard? Can I do this?
No.
Can I do?
No. Hey,
No.
some privileges are not for others.
So I can grab the butt.
Yeah,
I can't motorboat in
yeah,
public.
you can't. I think that might be frowned upon.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Not by the people.
I don't think
but
I've
by
ever-
your wife.
I'm not sure I've ever motorboated in public. Maybe I guess when would you? You don't motorboat
Yeah, I
in
know.
private.
It seems like a weird.
New place to be
you're not
motorboating.
motorboating in private because it's a public thing. You're trying to show everybody like, hey, look at these luscious boobs. I'm a motorboat in them.
Yeah, I don't know the time that's proper for that. At a
never
party,
proper?
like what party are you at? Where the mood is right for that.
Where the rocks are
but
lined up
things
properly.
are about to go downhill very quickly.
I'm trying to think of
Because
all
I
the-
think if you do that at a party, you're
You're wasted.
Put your keys in a jar because that's what kind of party
Well,
you're
it's
in.
all about if you have consent to motorboat. Let's be honest here. We're talking,
Yeah.
if you got consent to motorboat, then go ahead. But you ain't got no consent, then you are definitely out of line. You need to be.
But I think you need
kicked out.
consent. You need
That's
consent from
assault.
everyone at the party.
I'm looking at
You
the
need
I'm
consent.
looking at the
Hey.
video.
You come over to my house, Rod, and we're having dinner, and all of a sudden I'll be like, whoa.
Start motorboating my wife.
What is happening? I'm trying to eat over here.
I gotta tell you, yeah. Now,
Did you bring enough for the rest of the class?
Well,
Then
now-
no.
now
Did you bring enough for the rest of
But
the
now I fear as a married man, I'll never motorboat again. Is what you're telling me? I'm never gonna have to motorboat
It should
privilege.
not be at the
in
top of
public.
the list.
You're saying in public, I
Right,
can't do it.
right.
Like private motor, but to me,
Right.
private motorboating is not as fun as
We don't not.
being applauded in public because your motorboating skills.
I don't even know if you're gonna get applause.
Wait, the
You
question
gonna
is-
say-
What?
You're gonna be like, and your wife is gonna be looking at you like, bruh, what is wrong
Why did I
with
marry you?
Like, what is wrong with you?
But she liked it. Larson
Hey
did.
man, I'll tell you, the good part is we know Tom Brady's gonna be doing it to Kardashian in like 2
Oh,
weeks.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Pray that would be. I'm telling you, if Tom Brady motorboats Kim Kardashian, the internet will just it'll shut down. I mean, it really will.
I'm in.
The internet will explode. The Twitterverse will explode if that happens. It is a thing though. That apparently they were seen dancing at the white party together and on the beach together. That's the thing. You're on the beach together, hanging out, just you. And they didn't say just Tom and a group hanging out. It was like Tom and Kim hanging out on the beach together, kicking it.
Yeah.
Like 7 security
it.
guards loosely around them.
Yes, waiting to backhand somebody if they try to tap
They
them.
get too
You
close.
gonna get backhanded.
Sir, there's a
You was
motorboat
not
going on
invited
in
to
the area.
You were not invited to this party.
There's some motorboating going on inside, sir. All right, sorry, I didn't know that was going to turn into a motorboating conversation. I actually wanted to get into something else, but we got to table that for another time.
Yeah, we do.
I think it's been happening for more than 6 months, though, this relationship.
Yeah.
That's
oh,
what I'm
it's been
saying.
longer than that.
I
Yeah.
think it's been longer than that, guys.
Yeah.
So we must accept the fact now this is no longer a bit. He didn't commit to the bit. This thing is real.
And if he did commit to it, he's going all the way
He's
in.
going all the way. And why wouldn't she want to marry a Jordan anyway? Because he's got the bread. She won't bread. She's a little bit of a gold digger. And she keeps the profile lifted.
Yeah, man.
And she stays in the NBA community.
And she
And
stays.
she continues to
in-
embarrass and just shame Scottie Pippen.
and,
I'm
and
worried
Scottie
about Scottie.
Pippen Jr.
We must.
And Scottie Pippen Jr. Don't forget, that's
That's true.
somebody's mama.
That is somebody's mom.
And he in the locker room with NBA players.
Yeah.
This is
Hey.
a bigger picture.
No, it is. And Scottie Pippen Jr. is in a locker room with NBA players, and Marcus Jordan did not have that opportunity.
No.
Exactly.
He was in the
Not
locker room
with
for a
NBA
time, but
players.
he wasn't a
Either.
player. He's probably in the locker room a couple times. But anyway. so there
It
you
was
go.
bring your child to work day. That's when he came.
But like this, Marcus Jordan is so comfortable now in his relationship with Larsa Pippen that he is motorboating her in public. Like I
Yes.
said, I've been married for damn near 2 years. Hard's been married for how long?
30.
30? You been married?
No.
Feels like 30.
Feels
yeah.
like it.
And
Sometimes.
he's never motorboated his wife in public. And
Never.
Patrick's dated a lot of women. Never motorboated in public.
Well, maybe.
Ah, see,
know.
you don't deny it.
Well, don't
I mean,
forget, he
there's
was
nights I
he
don't
used to
remember.
be. Remember, he used to be in a
bands.
band.
Yeah, he used to be around
Yeah.
bands. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that's
I can't vouch for like 18 to 26.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
All right, we're going way off the rails. We'll come back. We'll get into Texas football news, notes, and nuggets. Go behind the burn orange curtain and talk about Texas football's upcoming season. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. Wonderful, another horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about our friends over at Ironworkers Local 482. We're talking about a prestigious organization, one of the most prestigious organizations in Austin, and they've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks that you may be driving by right now and not even know it, like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Right now, they're hiring 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas, and you can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482 and take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. So maximize your potential and be your best self today. Simply apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie, 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. Thanks for all your motorboating stories on the Specs text line, and we'll read some of your your motorboating suggestions and stories a little bit later on. And we just found one more observation about Marcus Jordan motorboating Larsa Pippen in public that we have to share. But it is a 512 Friday. The point of that is to play jams from very talented human beings that you have a chance to catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Jake Andrews, and he is doing his album release party this Saturday night at Continental Club.
Oh, there might be some motorboating at that event. You know what I mean? That might be. Some motorboat going on.
100%.
It's an album release party, man.
Yeah.
Come on now.
At least at the after party.
At least yeah, you go. You're right. You're a little formal at the actual release party. One thing we did notice about the video, though, Harj and I watching it, if you watch the Marcus Jordan, Larsa Pippen motorboating video on her birthday, she's 49, he's like 32. Somebody's filming it, and she does not flinch. She doesn't even really react to him. Because first he's smoking out of a hookah, I believe it is.
Yes, that's what it is.
And then he blows the smoke. It's actually very tech because he basically motorboats as he blows the smoke.
Yeah, he's doing
A smoking boat, a smoking motorboat. It's a smoking motorboat, which is also unprecedented. I don't think I've ever seen a smoking motorboat before. So it was like a smoking motorboat, and she did not flinch or move, which to us kind of implies that that happens a lot. Like this, suggests this happens a lot.
Yeah, this is normal behavior for both of them.
That's like one of their little things. He often goes to the motorboat thing, and she's proud of it, and it's one of their little love languages. Mm-hmm. So good for him. He's established that as, a common thing. I should have done that years ago with my wife, and then it would have been common. She'd just been like, oh, he's coming in for a little motorboat. Get up in there.
But that's not what we're doing, hon?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've never motorboated my wife, so now if I do it, she's going to look at me crazy, slap me in the face, like, what you doing?
What the five fingers say to the face?
Exactly. I'm going to get the Britney treatment. My own hand gets slapped in my face by trying to motorboat her.
Rod, we're at Thanksgiving.
Exactly. Yes.
I misread the room.
Well, even if I don't know.
My bad, guys.
Now I'm curious. There you go. Anyway, there you go. That's the off the record that ended up spilling over into this segment. We'll get to Texas football conversation here. We'll also talk about some of the rankings for Texas in the quarterback room nationally. Also ranking Big 12 coaches. That's a CBS Sports article that we'll get into. The latest NIL revenue figures and stats that have been released. Not all of them. It's not a total picture, but it's a sample size of the kind of NIL progress here at Texas. We'll get into that too. And my man Chip Brown had a really good insider report, and there's a nice nugget in there about Jaylan Ford and how Texas discovered what has become their best defensive player on the defensive side of the ball, and the preseason pick for Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. So we'll get into that coming up this segment. You can be a part of the show. Spec Text Sounds the best way to do it, 512-337-3776. Some text says, my wife motorboated another woman in the middle of a bar one night. It's lucky, man. Good for you. Good for you.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah. You
See,
got some things, yeah.
That's amazing. Did you get video of this?
I'm sure they did.
You had to get video
and
of
it'll
this.
definitely be on the Specs text line here in a second.
Just saying. There you go. So I appreciate that. All right, let's get to the Texas football conversation here, and it'll spill over into Rod Drive today. We're going to talk some Texas football there as well. Shout out to my man Chip Brown, who had his insider piece. I won't read you the whole thing. You should go check it out for yourself. Got lots of great nuggets in there about the offseason for Texas football and what's going on. One of the nuggets I found really interesting was about Jaylan Ford. Talks about how Oscar Giles and Tim Beck, former assistants on the Tom Herman staff, how they actually got word of Jaylan Ford because they weren't recruiting him at first. He was actually committed to Utah, it says here in the insider piece from my man Chip Brown. And it points out that the Denton Ryan defensive coordinator, Aaron De La Torre, who is the father of lifetime Longhorn Alex De La Torre, who also I think is in coaching now.
He is.
And he had to reach out to Oscar Giles, or at least communicate to Oscar Giles, quote, I told him, why aren't you recruiting Jaylan Ford? The kid is athletic, smart, and instinctive, De La Torre said. And also the different recruiting sites didn't have Jaylan Ford ranked really high. He wasn't even a top 650 prospect, according to 247 Sports Composite, and now is considered to be one of the best linebackers in the country. Should have already had a Defensive Player of the Year on his resume after last season. That did not happen, but now he's got a chip on his shoulder, probably the size of a boulder. That's good news. And you're talking about he had one of the greatest defensive seasons in the history of Texas football.
Agreed.
No, that's not
hyperbole.
No, that's not.
No.
Actually, it is statistically. It's one of the greatest seasons in the history of Texas football for a defensive player, and he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. So,
which is ridiculous because of the fact of what you just stated. He went out there and balled, and all of this happened after the very first game of the season,
yeah,
where he didn't have anything.
And you're right. That's crazy. He had his worst game.
Yes.
The first game of the season. I think he had like 2 missed tackles in that game.
Yes, it was like he didn't have
game.
stats at all.
I remember saying after the game, I was like, man, he might be a liability. You might
Right.
be thinking
You
about
might
him
be
as a liability,
yes.
and maybe come with some sub packages or maybe give some other linebackers a shot. After that, I had to eat those words and that crow.
Yeah.
Because he was the best defensive player on the field for Texas for
No
the
doubt.
rest of the season.
No doubt.
But he was one of the worst for that first game. Somebody should ask him about that.
Yeah. Somebody
At Big
has
12
to.
Media Day,
yeah.
somebody needs to ask Jalen Ford about that first game.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden,
his
boom,
response
here we
to
at.
it. Yeah, because that was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
And he will be at Big 12 Media Days, of course. So somebody could have the opportunity to ask him that. There are other little nuggets in it. It also talks about how he has already started looking at film for the upcoming opponents this season, and also says that he has been a role, kind of a mentor, if you will, for players like Leon Lafau, who also is a very instinctive player too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice nugget that he threw out there. And I've heard you talk about this with Texas baseball at times, where the coaching staff will be informed of a player they will be informed about a player from a legacy or a friend of a lifetime Longhorn who decided, hey man, I need to put in a call because you guys aren't recruiting this kid, and I think he'd be a hell of a player for you. And that's happened a couple of times with Texas baseball that I've heard of.
Yeah.
And I know there are.
Pete Hansen was one of the most recent people.
There you go.
Yeah. Pete Hansen was somebody that really wanted to come to Texas, wasn't being recruited. They DM'd video and information about the kid to Carly Todd.
Nice.
And Carly Todd found out about him. They went out and saw him, and they were like, wait, how did we not know about this kid?
Huh.
You know, so
Yeah.
sometimes it takes other people, other eyes, some bird dogs, other people that are out there, other coaches that are watching these kids that are like, man, hold up, how's this kid?
Yeah.
He's the hardest one that I have to game plan against, and nobody is recruiting him? Well, yeah, Utah, but nobody in the state. So, yeah, Texas won on that, and it goes back to what we've talked about also about the development part of it. He is the pitcher of development.
More so than any other player on the roster right now.
Absolutely.
Yep. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
A 3-star coming in.
Exactly. And now look at him, up for Defensive Player of the Year. Should have got it last year, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to play at the next level.
Oh, he's definitely going to be a guy. And honestly, I like his ability to play at the next level only because the NFL now has become more of a passing league. And as a coverage defender, that's actually where he excels.
Right.
As a coverage defender, he's been one of the best coverage defenders, if you look at it, in the country last year. At those 4 interceptions, the most interceptions for a linebacker in the country last season, and actually matched the record, tied the record, I should say, for Derek Johnson on the 40 acres for most interceptions by a linebacker. So he's actually excels in coverage. I think that's one of his strengths. I believe one of the criticism of his game may have been him as a run defender and run fits, which I think will improve as he kind of grows into a more mature body and get in the weight room and diagnosing plays a little bit better, being able to take on blocks with better leverage. So there's an opportunity for Jalen Ford to be much better. I will say this. I do think it's already settled, and this is my conspiracy theory. I think it's already settled that Jalen Ford is going to win Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Because they shafted him so ridiculously, and the snub was so obvious last season without him winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That now, just pretty much to make up for that, that misstep, they're gonna award it to him this year. And he's not gonna have the same season he had last year. And I doubt back-to-back years could be he's gonna be statistically the best defensive player in the conference back-to-back years. Just the odds of it are not going to line up. He could still be as good of a player.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, offenses are not going to attack and try to exploit him. They're going to run away from him. They're going to throw away from him. They're going to try to avoid Jalen Ford these days.
Yeah.
And last
That's where
year,
Anthony Hill needs to step up.
Yes, last year he came out of nowhere, and teams were like, man, this guy is a powerhouse and a game changer. So he's not going to have the same stats, and chances are there will be somebody else out there who will have a breakout season, and they'll probably get shafted and snubbed just because the snub cycle continues because they have to make up for screwing up last season. Because there was no doubt about it. He won Defensive Player of the Week 3 times last year. He was the only player since 2000 in the conference to put up at least 100 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles in a single season. It hadn't happened in the Big 12 in 22 years. And yet he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year.
He did not win Defensive Player of the Year.
Only Power 5 player with 4 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. Only FBS player with 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. And didn't win Defensive Player of the Year in his own conference. He had 6 straight games forcing a turnover.
Yeah, that's something that's unheard of.
He won a couple of games for Texas, yeah.
It's unheard of, and you get penalized for it.
Yeah, so that's why I think, like I said, he's going to win it this year, but I don't know if he'll earn it this year. He earned it last season, and they'll probably try to make up for that miscalculation or that mistake.
Well, I hope he plays even harder this year because of that. And he knows, again, it's a contract year. Go get your money in your little duffel bag, boy. Yeah, I'm all
Straight
about
cash,
that.
homie. I'm sure he got a nice payday just from in his NIL deals.
Yeah.
I'm sure got upgraded tremendously. Speaking of NIL, there was an updated report from Austin Business Journal. I'll give them credit. My man CB sent it to me, but it's via the Austin Business Journal, and they're updating at least their sample, or at least the information they have on NIL. By the way, because of the new law, there's only so much information available about NIL deals. So you're only working with so much limited information. But based on the information that they gathered at Austin Business Journal, they have Texas earning, or at least Texas athletes earning at least, that's a big term here, at least, because like I said, it's a small sample size, at least $15.5 million in the 2 years that name, image, and likeness has been the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most of it going to football, but that's a lot. That's a lot of straight cash, homie.
We've all been thinking about that, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's, and by the way, Open Doors, I told you guys that earlier or this year, they said their calculations and all of their research, they track millions of different transactions, thousands of collectives around the country, and their data tells them Texas is the #1 NIL compensation program in the country, or athletic department in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, it's an arms race. It ain't, you don't just win it. It's not necessarily a destination. You don't get to cross the finish line. It's an arms race. So you're, A&M, Oregon, Tennessee, Miami, USC, all those teams are involved in the arms race. But right now, Texas is in a really good spot. And I saw the On3, you said he actually was the owner.
Yeah, Shannon Terry.
Shannon Terry.
He's one of the owners of
On3, and he said recently, this was earlier this week, he put out there that Texas, no collectives are more aggressive during this recruiting cycle than Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
This is 100% the right move. So
yeah,
that was, yeah. I mean, he actually, so he's saying that even right now, what he's hearing behind the scenes, Texas is still doing really well. And that kind of leads to our other conversation, 247 Sports. They ranked the best position groups and rooms in the country in college football. Texas was only ranked in one of those categories, and it was quarterback.
Yep.
They claim, or at least that article claims, that Texas has the best quarterback room in the country, with Quinn Ewers coming back, Malik Murphy impressing during the spring game, and, of course, the prince that was promised, one Arch Manning. So
the prince that was promised. I like it.
But listen, those things are, to me, they are linked. You can't have a quarterback room like that and not be spending a lot of money to keep those guys there.
You have to. There's too much talent there. There's too much talent there. And especially when people are always out there trying to jump and get into your DMs to try to get you another player, get yourself another player. Yeah, you got to stay on top of your game and be able to, kind of feel out the situation, because most of these guys, they're looking for an opportunity to play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Something else that I wanted to get into, Texas hired a new, and we'll get to some other, the Big 12 coaches too, because there's a Big 12 coaches ranking that I want to talk about as well. Mm-hmm. But Texas hired a new defensive assistant, and we haven't really talked about it. Went under the radar. But I think it's worth discussing. He hired basically he's an edge coach. Mm-hmm. He's a defensive end edge coach assistant. And this was reported by Inside Texas, so I'll give them a lot of props with it. Texas hired Jacques Smith to help Pete Kwiatkowski coach the defensive ends. He's out of Dallas. He's a South Oak Cliff product. Played in the NFL. Actually played at Missouri first, then played in the NFL. And he also has a defensive line academy or coaching, basically kind of individual coaching that he does with defensive linemen. He calls it trench warfare. So he's got a company. He's been working with defensive linemen from that Dallas area. And I think, there's probably multiple reasons Texas brought him in. I think, number one, they probably want help developing those defensive ends. They need help trying to develop their defensive ends because they want more of a pass rush and a presence on the edge. But Harge, I think even more so than the technique that he's going to be teaching and the fundamentals that he's going to be coaching, I think it's more about getting more of a presence or having more of a presence in that Dallas area.
Ding, 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 ding.
That DFW area.
Hey, man, you got to be able to go and infiltrate that. We heard that conversation earlier. Infiltrate, when they were talking about Britney Spears trying to get in there.
They're trying to infiltrate?
Yeah, they're trying to infiltrate in there. But you sit there and you look at how you want to take over Dallas area. There's a lot of recruiting that is going on in the Dallas DFW area. And if you got somebody that is working on those edge guys, and from what I understand, he's also has a relationship with Colin Simmons, the defensive end coming in from Duncanville.
That'd be worth
so
it.
There's some information that may be there that you can have that conversation. He feels comfortable with that group. There's so many different things that you can do because if you don't remember, Rashad Samples was one of those guys that was in the DFW area, and then now he's kind of spread his wings. I think he's at Arizona State with
You're right, because he left
Brian Carrington.
He left the Rams?
Yeah, he was,
What
or
was
maybe that's where he went.
Because he
was doing something like that.
I thought he went to the NFL for a little while, but I could be off about that.
But he had his link to the Dallas
Yes.
area because his father was the head football coach at Duncanville. So he's in the mix. So you want to make sure that you do that. And look at what Matt Rule has just done. Matt Rule, when he got the head of the Texas High School Coaches Association, she's working for him. So there's so many different entities and ways to go about it, and Texas is getting in front of the game.
Yeah, he did. Rashad Samples was with the Rams last season, and now he's with Arizona State.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So you're right.
Him and Brian Carrington back together again. BC.
Ooh.
Yep.
I didn't think about that either.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a good point. It's all about the connections, man.
It's all about
He's a fast riser, though, in the coaching ranks.
is.
But getting back to that DFW area, I mean, I'm from Houston, so there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between Houston and Dallas. And usually I would say that Houston has more talent. Dallas has the better football teams, and Houston has the better football talent. That has not been the case lately. Lately, Dallas has the better talent and the better teams.
No doubt. They've been winning state championships.
Yeah, exactly. They've been dominating lately. And Houston still has a ton of talent. But if you go look at since 2020, the NFL draft since 2020, and you look at the amount of players drafted from just the DFW area alone, we're talking about 50 players drafted from DFW, just that area since 2020. The only states to have more players drafted than DFW, Metroplex, since 2020 are Florida, Texas, Georgia, and California. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. The DFW area will be fifth in producing NFL talent, draftable NFL talent since 2020.
Besides, you just named states.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously,
when you sit there, you think about it,
in Texas, but
you saying states.
States. Just
and
the
DFW has its own.
And that's why when Bob Stoops was like, y'all think we're going to be the next Nebraska? Y'all dead wrong about that.
Right, because I'm in Texas.
Because he's like, we in DFW. We deep.
We deep.
He literally said that. He was like, no, we too deep in Dallas to ever fall off like Nebraska. Nebraska ain't got a Dallas near them. We got a DFW.
That's true.
And right now, there isn't a better Metroplex in the country that produces more NFL talent than DFW right now. It is the most fertile football megaplex, Metroplex, whatever, in the country right now.
I didn't even think about that until you said all the states, and then you said Dallas.
Houston ain't bad. Houston's had 40 in that time span, so Houston would probably be in the top 6 or 7. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
You got to lock down Houston. You lock down Dallas. If you're a Sark, if you can just get the majority majority stake in those places, you got national championship caliber roster right there.
No doubt.
But in Houston, you got to compete with the SEC a lot because the SEC, they got inroads to H-Town. That's where LSU recruits a ton of H-Town. Alabama's got offices in H-Town. Everybody, Ole Miss is now in H-Town. Now all the SEC schools are in H-Town. So H-Town's a little tougher than Dallas. Now everybody knows you got to be in Dallas. But Dallas used to just be Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And pretty much Texas. And then whatever the Texas schools there.
Yeah.
And then whatever the Pac-12 schools will try to come out there and poach every now and then. But now, no. DFW, nope. That's ground zero, man, for Sark and really for Texas and Oklahoma too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now that's your rival, and you got to duke it out with Oklahoma for talent
those people.
in the metro place.
And that's why this move by Sark, making sure that he got the right person hired, makes a big difference when you're recruiting the defensive side of the ball in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yep, going back to it. Yeah, so even if he can't coach a lick,
exactly,
it's worth it. It was a good move. He's a terrible coach. Who cares? He's got connections in DFW,
that's
man,
right.
and that's exactly what Sark needs. Okay, let's rank the Big 12 coaches. Look at this ranking really quickly. We won't spend much time on this because I want to get into Raj Ram today, and I want to talk a little Texas football in Raj Ram today. But this is from CBS Sports, and they went through and ranked all the Big 12 coaches, and you know what? I want to say Sark is too low on this list. Here's the list of the ranking of Big 12 coaches. They have Sonny Dykes number 1. Sonny Dykes numero uno on this list.
I think it's strictly off of last year's performance.
Is it?
It has to be.
Are you really?
It has to be. And those weren't even his players, by the way.
Are we underestimating and underrating Sonny Dykes a little bit?
I don't think that I'm underestimating him. I just want to see what he has this year and that year after that.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? Because now you're recruiting your players.
But Marge, I think this list has nothing to do with recruiting because where Sark is on it clearly doesn't have anything to do with recruiting.
You're right.
It's just
You're
coaching.
Right.
So if we just say coach, Sonny Dykes, really good coach, but recruiting may be the downfall for TCU. But coach-wise, really good.
Are they giving it to him because of what he did last year?
I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
It definitely is. That's a big part of it.
Because Chris Kleiman is number 2, and they finished 1-2 last year, or 2-1. No, what?
What are you talking about?
No. Because Chris Kleiman, K-State won the Big 12. So Chris Kleiman, and we all believe that. I would have put Chris Kleiman as number 1 because I think we all believe Chris Kleiman
number 1
is a better coach.
I would have put Chris Kleiman number 1. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Chris Kleiman's a better coach than Sonny Dykes has proven to be.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Sonny Dykes. I think this is basically because they want this list to be a little polarizing, a little controversial.
Yeah, a lot of conversation.
And you can have the conversation about Sonny Dykes, but for me, no, Sonny Dykes would not be the best coach in the Big 12.
Right.
I believe it is Chris Kleiman as the best coach.
Right.
And I'd have Mike Gundy number 2. He's number 3.
He's number 3. So, I mean, it's not that far off, except you got to move a couple people around.
You got to bump Sonny Dykes down.
Yeah.
They got Lance Leopold number 4, and I love me some Lance Leopold, gentlemen, Kansas coach. I think he's damn good. He really is.
And it's all about his credibility, too, because of what he did at some of the other places he was at.
Like Kleiman. That's why Kleiman gets love, too, what he did at the Division II level, like the lower level.
Yep.
Right?
I'm down with
at the FCS level, excuse me, I should say that. And Lance Leopold was at the Division... He was at Division III.
Yeah, he
won like
D3.
national title. He had like
Wisconsin,
a dynasty.
Yeah, Wisconsin Whitewater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what? And I'll give those.
He won 6 national titles from 2007 to 14.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
I'll give those institutions a lot of credit. Those programs a lot of credit for going to the lower levels to go find a damn good coach to do your research and due diligence. They went and got Chris Kleiman from the FCS program where he had proven himself. Hey, a good ball coach is a good ball coach. I'll give it up to Kansas for going to get Lance Leopold.
Yeah.
Damn good ball coach. Division III, still good ball coach. And you know what? What Texas Tech just did with Jordan McGuire.
Right.
They were like, you know what? He's in high school. He's a damn good ball
coach.
He knows
people.
Ball.
And he's a good, he won state championships. Yeah, this is a good move.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Big 12, I think, is a little unique in that they'll go to the lower level and promote. I'm sure it's been done a lot, but you see it done more prominently, it seems like, in the Big 12. Baylor, they got Dave Aranda, who I love, by the way. No coach speaking that man. Number 5.
Monk.
Yes. That may be a little high for Dave Aranda. I'm not sure because the jury's still out. He had one great year. and he had one down year.
And then he went back.
And yeah,
because those weren't his players.
Those weren't his players.
Those weren't his players.
So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
One. Gus Malzahn I probably would put him above David Aranda. He's done more.
I would go there.
Gus Malzahn, he's proven himself a little bit more
in the SEC.
In the SEC,
yeah,
beat Nick Saban.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a big boy coach. Matt Campbell at number 7. I like Matt Campbell more than y'all do. So
I think his star bright, first bright star see tonight, it might have passed.
Oh yeah, the luster is gone.
Yeah.
The thrill is gone.
The thrill is gone. He didn't strike when the iron was hot.
He missed like 3 great jobs that he could have gotten. And missed out on them. Could have had that Detroit Lions job,
but they may not have been the same because it's not Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell made a great joke. He was like, they got the wrong Campbell, but I'll take it. Then they got Steve Sarkisian, gentlemen, at number 8. Ahead of Kalani Sitake of BYU, Joey McGuire of Texas Tech, Dana Holgerson at U of H. They got Brent Venables at 12 at Oklahoma, Scott Satterfield at Cincinnati at 13, and West Virginia, Neil Brown, your boy Hards. You said he's going to be gone before the midway point.
Man, and I hate that for him. I hate that for him, but man, you got to go. He knows.
You ain't got to go. You ain't got to go home, but you gone.
You gone, player.
What about Sark? We think he's too high, too low, gentlemen. He's at number 8 on this list out of 14 coaches.
Well, as I sit here and I look at it, 5-7 the first year, second year went 8-5. We see the improvement. Patrick, you mentioned it a little while ago. This has nothing to do with the recruiting. It's all about everything that happens on the field. I think this is another one. Hey, I got a chip on my shoulder. This is another chip on the shoulder for Sark to go out there and take his team to the next level. So I'm going to leave him there, but I definitely think he's a better coach than Matt Campbell right now. I would definitely put myself above that.
I don't know about that.
I'm just saying.
I think Matt Campbell's done more with less, and you could argue Sark's done less with more.
Yeah, no, I agree, but that's where we're sitting right now. All of us are hoping.
Right.
We're hoping that Sark is the better coach, and he is going to improve, and he's going to show you this year. No, it was an anomaly the first 2 years that he just didn't have his players, and now he's got his guys, and he can go do it. He could also really show that list is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And both those are very, very easy solutions to see this season.
I think this is the season that we get more clarity.
This is definitely if we don't get the clarity now, we'll never get it. Or we actually got it clear.
Yeah, because the expectation is simple, right? It's double-digit wins and competing for a Big 12 title. If he doesn't meet that, people assume, okay, well, he's just Sark. He's a coach that's won 55% of his games, which is above average to good, but not great.
Right.
And to make it into the College Football Hall of Fame, you got to win at least 60% of your games. So we need him to become a 60% win percentage type coach. And he's not there yet, but he's at 55%, so he's hovering around there like 55, 56%, wherever he is right now. And I went and looked at his coaching win percentage versus coaches who win at least 60% of their games. He's at basically 40%. He wins. He's got close to a 40% win percentage versus coaches who win at least 60% of their games versus coaches who win less than 60% of their games. He's at 76% win percentage.
Yeah.
He's got to become a coach that can match wits with a great chess master across the other sideline. That's what he hasn't proven. That's why he's great at preparation. He's great at game planning. But when the chess match happens within the game, once his script is out the window and you got to match wits with your opponent, and you have to have a feel of the game, and you got to become a play caller rather than a coordinator, that's when he's shown there's some fragility to his play calling, and I think that's where he's got to step his game up. And I think it'll happen this year. If it doesn't happen this year.
The good news is he's the best recruiter in the Big 12.
He is, but at Texas, that's always been the case.
That's true, but I'm just saying, I'll give him the credit.
Yes.
He is the number one recruiter right now.
Yes, he is. But is it him or BMDs, Big Money Donuts? Shout out to y'all. Horns with Heart, Pancake Factory. Love y'all. The Collective. Shout out. Yeah. Is that TexasOneFund.org. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. This is Ball Don't Lie, Waterford.org. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let's talk about our friends at Apple Leasing, because you need friends like our friends at Apple Leasing, because they understand that you want the satisfaction of getting the car, the perfect car for you and your family, the car of your dreams, that beautiful, lovely car, new car smell that everybody likes. But they understand also there's a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, a lot of hassle that come with getting the perfect car for you and your family, right? You got to go price shopping. You got to go to different dealerships, go looking for whatever car fits the lifestyle of you and your family. And also you got to worry about the price and the payment. All right, does that fit your budget? Also, if you're in a lease, how do I get out of this old lease and into a better lease? Well, don't worry about all that. That's a lot of headaches to worry about. Our friends at Apple Leasing, they take the stress and the headaches out of that process for you, and all you got to worry about is getting your reward, that brand new car with that beautiful brand new car smell. And all you got to do is reach out to them, 512-346-9977. Give them all the details and let them handle the rest. Somebody who knows this all too well is my man Mike Harge.
That's right. I know it so well that I keep doing it. I'm going to continue to do it. Apple Leasing makes everything so easy for you. You can make no down payments or zero payments for 90 days with their easy lease. That's exactly what I did. I went out and I told them exactly what type of vehicles we were looking for. And I've always been kind of leery of the leasing model. I do a lot of driving and I'm always worried about going over. Don't worry about it. They will plan your lease the way that you want it. If you drive a lot and you need something that's affordable, they will find it for you. Whatever the make, whatever the model, Apple Leasing can get their hands on it. It's so easy, too. You just go over to appleleasing.com, or you can give them a call at 512-346-9977, and they will make it very easy for you. And I know a lot of times people are so busy. You got kids' events. You need to be somewhere. You can't leave the house right away, but you really want to see that car. Don't worry about it. They will make sure that they bring the car over to you. And they will make sure that it's real easy for you to sign the paperwork. Everybody is trying to make it comfortable for you. I know you don't like to go to the dealerships because you're in there for such a long time. They're going to walk you around and do all this. No, you want the make, you want the model, you want the price range. They will get it done for you. Go to appleleasing.com or give them a call, 512-346-9977. And as Scott Crossett always says, he's only leasing cars and making friends, and I'm definitely one of his friends. appleleasing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I want to talk some Texas football here, and I basically want to ease any anxiety or stress Longhorn fans may have about how good the defense is going to be. I think the defense is going to be pretty good. For, I don't know, maybe 10 years now, maybe a little less than that, I've had what I call my central nervous system theory for Texas football, and it applies to any defense really in the Big 12. That when Texas is really good on defense, and when I say really good, I mean top 30-ish scoring defense, right? Just kind of give us a little perspective. Anytime Texas is in that realm defensively, you go look at it, and they have veteran, smart, high IQ, very impactful leaders up like the central nervous system of defense, right up the gut, the spine, where the D tackles, inside linebackers, and your nickels and your safeties. And I remember originally coming up with this, looking at that 2011 defense, which was, and by the way, you have not had an elite defense at Texas since 2009. That's your last elite defense. 2009 was the last time you were a top 15 defense. I think they were like the 12th best scoring defense in the country. And of course, you end up having a showcase and you ended up playing in a national appearance, and national title game. So that was a really good defense. That was an elite defense. But even when they're good, let's just say they're good, above average defenses, when Texas is in that range, 2011 was the first year I kind of noticed it. They had Keeston Randall at D tackle, Manny Acho at off-ball linebacker, Keenan Robinson at off-ball linebacker, Kenny Vaccaro, Blake Gideon were your safeties and your nickel back at that time too. And you had Blake Gideon, who started more games than any other player in DBU history, now a coach on the 40 Acres. Kenny Vaccaro, first-round pick. Manny Acho, pretty smart guy, high IQ guy. Keenan Robinson, both those guys, NFL players. Keeston Randall, NFL player. And that really was kind of the core of that defense. They had some other good players, like Carrington Bindman, Jackson Jeffcoat. There are some good players on that defense, but the thing that made that defense so stable and so consistent was the central nervous system was able to bind the kind of structural integrity of the defense. And then, of course, they had a drop-off in 2012 and 2013. Why? Because they lost all those guys. They lost Keeston Randall, lost Manny Acho, lost Keenan Robinson, lost Blake Gideon. Lost all those guys after that year, and then the defense fell off a cliff. And then once they had another veteran group in those key positions up the central nervous system, they were good again. 2014. You had Hassan Ridgeway and Malcolm Brown in your D tackles, interior D line. Jordan Hicks and Steve Edmond. Talking about an NFL line. Jordan Hicks still playing. NFL linebacker, right? He's still playing. And balling.
Yeah.
Want the Cowboys to pick him up.
Man, bad.
At safety, you had Dylan Haynes. I know y'all gonna hate on Dylan Haynes because he's a white safety, and y'all don't like white safeties. But the guy's top 5 all time in interceptions on the 40 Acres. So remember DBU. Shout out to my man Dylan Haynes. And you had Quandre Diggs also was playing some nickel at that time, and he was on that defense too. Safety. You were moving him around that defense. You had Duke Thomas, actually was one of the nickels, I believe, on that defense too. Remember him? He got a little cup of coffee in the league. So you were strong, and you were experienced right at all the positions that mattered the most. And then a lot of those guys left. And you had the drop-off again. In 2015, 2016, you were some of the worst defenses that Texas has had in recent memory, and some of the worst in the country in those 2 years. And then 2017, it happened again. This also coincided, strangely enough, with the first year of new DCs. It was Manny Diaz's first year. It was also Vance Bedford first year, and it was what's his name? The DC. Orlando.
Todd Orlando.
I would call him Tony Orlando.
I know. I was like, and Don.
No, exactly.
Tony Orlando and Don.
Todd Orlando, his first year in 2017.
Yep.
And he had Malcolm, remember he had Poona Ford?
Yep.
And ended up being an NFL player, still playing in the league. Gary Johnson and Malik Jefferson were your off-ball linebackers. They were actually two of the fastest players on the team. Your off-ball linebackers that year were probably faster than any of your DBs. That's how fast Malik Jefferson and Gary Johnson were. Then Deshaun Elliott, remember the Kraken? He was finalist for the Thorpe that year.
I saw him in the airport when I was leaving.
Did you really?
Yeah, I talked to him for a little bit.
And he's with Miami now?
Yeah, he's with Brandon Jones.
With Vic Fangio.
And Vic Fangio.
And Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. Yep.
Oh, no, that might be the best secondary in the NFL.
Yep.
Like, it's got a chance to be. But then, in addition to Deshaun Elliott, you had P.J. Locke, you had Brandon Jones, you had veteran, experienced, high IQ football players right there up the central nervous system of the defense. And then in 2022, and by the way, although a lot of those guys left in 2017, right? A lot of those guys left, like Poona Ford and your Deshaun Elliott left after that too, I believe, and Gary Johnson, Malik Jefferson. Those guys leave, and then you're inexperienced. Lower football IQ because guys haven't had as many reps, so they don't see the game as quickly. And there's turnover too to keep in mind. Like I said, you had 3 different defensive coordinators in those 3 years I just mentioned.
Don't forget about Chris Ash too.
And exactly, and in Chris Ash, you got even another one. So you got a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
That also, I believe, contributes to a little bit of the inconsistency and the destabilization of the defenses after having a plateau of a year and being one of the top defenses in the country. The reason you'd have such a significant drop-off is you lose a lot of experience, but also new terminology, new scheme, new way to coach, all that type of stuff. And Texas has dealt with way too much of that. We heard Sark on the Always College Football podcast. When they asked him about the defense, the first thing he commented on was, I love the fact that we have consistency within the coaching staff. That we have some stability within the coaching staff. He said that actually has contributed, in his opinion, more to the defensive improvement than anything else. But then getting back to it, 2022, you were the 28th ranked defense in terms of scoring defense, and that's improvement from 99th in 2021. So that's really good. But you had really good defensive tackles. Like, actually, you might have had the deepest defensive tackle group in the country. You had Ojimo and you had Coburn. Those guys both end up being drafted. You had DeMarvion Overshown, an off-ball linebacker, and Jalen Ford, who ends up being one of the best defensive players in the conference, should have been Defensive Player of the Year. And you had a veteran, Anthony Cook, who played almost every position in that secondary. And you had a veteran also with Jaron Thompson, who had played a lot. He's coming back, but he had played a lot of ball. And it's an argument that Jahdae Barron was probably the most impactful player for Texas defensively, other than Jalen Ford, because of the big plays he made, the fumble return for an interception, the interception return for a touchdown. He made big plays in big games that turned the tide of a lot of those games. So for me, for Texas this season, because you're going to bring back a lot of the same pieces. You bring back Jalen Ford, who is expected to be the best defensive player in the Big 12, and he'll definitely be one of them. You bring back Jahdae Barron. Jahdae Barron is, I think, going to be an all-Big 12 defender. I think he'll probably be first-team all-Big 12 if he has any type of season close to what he had last year, and I assume he's going to be even better, judging the trajectory. And you're going to have Byron Murphy the second, T'Vondre Sweat on the D-line. So on the defensive front, you're pretty stable. All right, interior D-line and off-ball linebacker. And in the secondary, Jaron Thompson, Jalen Catalon you upgrade, and they like Keaton Crawford so much, they're saying he's demanding starting reps. So your central nervous system this season actually may be as good, if not better than it was last season. The only thing I worried about, you're not as deep on the interior D-line because nobody trusts, and I'm not hating on those young men, but they're just not as trustworthy as a Coburn and an Ojimo. We don't trust Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton as much. Like, can Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins be what basically Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat were last year to Coburn and Ojimo?
I hope so.
I don't know if they can be.
I know, but I'm Byron Murphy is supposed to be the monster. Obviously, he was preseason Big 12, but T'Vondre Sweat is somebody that I've been, waiting to pop. He made huge strides last year.
He did.
He made huge strides. Going back to what we were talking about with development, same voices, camaraderie in the coaching staff. They're not trying to teach the younger players and learn at the same time. So this is a good opportunity for them. But you're right, they didn't bring the stability that was expected. So we'll see what happens now.
And the Texans are pointing out, and it is a astute observation that Gary Patterson is gone.
Yep.
So that's something to be concerned about too, that Gary Patterson is gone. My hope is that the miscalculation by Pete Kwiatkowski in his first year where he misread the conference. He basically thought the Big 12 was a passing conference, and it is a running conference that cross-dresses as a passing conference. Like it really is. That's pretty much what it is. And I think he misread that. And last season, Gary Patterson came in, gave him kind of a thorough a scouting report about the Big 12 because he knew it better than anybody else.
Showed the warts.
Exactly, and gave him all the little cheat codes that he knew defensively, and that helped Kwiatkowski. He knows the cheat codes now, but does he know when and how to use them like Gary Patterson did? That's the question. So I think the defense is going to be top 35 this year. It's going to be a top 30. It's going to be a scoring defense. And every year that I mentioned, 2022, 2017, 2020, 2014, 2011, those were the last years that Texas had, I bet since 2009, where Texas had a top 35 defense. You have not had a top 15 defense since 2009.
Yeah.
I don't think they can be that good. They're not going to be that good this year.
Oh, man.
If the field corner is like all Big 12 caliber field corner and maybe Anthony Hill is way ahead of schedule, maybe there's a possibility that it happens, but I don't think so. I think it'll be top 35, though. That's
sure.
That's good enough to win you double-digit games.
Should be.
That is.
Should be.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to remember what that offense got to do, too.
Yeah. Yes, they do. The offense got to – listen, I think the offense is going to be –
It's going to be fine.
Gangbusters.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really good. All right, we come back. We'll give you another off the record on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn.
Mike Harge here, and I want to talk to you about my friends over at Quick Roofing. We had a little bit of rain here that just happened to come through the city just not too long ago, but I guarantee you don't think about your roof long enough. So do yourself a favor and go to quickroofing.com. And here are some of the reasons why I think you should choose Quick Roofing. You get a free, no-obligation inspection. Quick Roofing requires a project manager on every job site, ensuring that you, the customer, get everything that you were promised. Quick Roofing is fully insured and have all state and local licenses. Quick Roofing doesn't even require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. And with all that, you get a 7-year workmanship warranty. They've been in business for over 39 years. So if you're going to get someone to look at your roof, make sure you do it with my friends over at Quick Roofing. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
512 Friday. That's when the Idealionaire Patrick Davis takes jams from very talented human beings, certain artists that you have a chance to hear live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Jay Serrato. He is playing Sunday at Monk's Jazz.
I like that. Jazz Club. Monk's Jazz.
Seems a little smooth. You know
I love it.
Yeah.
I love a nice jazz club, man. It's fantastic. All right, there you go, my man Patrick. Mixing it up
This
a little
way you
bit.
can do spoken word too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you do like poetry and stuff?
Yeah, you do spoken
Like
word.
slam poetry?
Exactly.
Some stuff like that. All right, there you go, my man Patrick. Always keeping you on your toes with a 512 Friday. You can go check out all of the suggestions for 512 Friday. Just go to hornfm.com. 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Specs text line. And yes, big news tonight. At least we'll have a big story tonight, which will be Wembanyama. We're actually watching Sports Center right now, and they got video of Wemby. He's shooting, warming up.
Oh, yeah, get loose.
The number 1 overall pick will make his debut tonight, but it's actually a nice schedule of games because there'll be basically 1 versus 2 and 2 versus 3, the overall picks in the NBA draft. And the Rockets, which means the Rockets, will be in action before, I believe, the Spurs Charlotte
they
game.
play next.
Rockets Portland play at 6
Yeah.
p.m. on ESPN, and then at 8 p.m. on ESPN will be the Spurs versus the Hornets.
Yeah, I DVR'd it, so I get a chance to watch the Rockets. I'm excited. I've never watched a summer league game in my life.
Yeah.
I've never.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to. I've never even had.
Now you got a reason.
Now I might watch 2.
You're definitely gonna see one of them
I'm
while
definitely
we're in
gonna
here.
see one. I'm gonna see when Wemby plays.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
other
and
than that-
also former Texas players in that game with the Spurs. Serge Rice is going to be on the Spurs team. Kai Jones is playing for Charlotte as well.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right. Well, I wanted to get into some other off-the-record stories. We don't have a ton of time, so I'll just be quick here. A little nugget that I found. You guys remember the Hall of Fame pitcher Randy Johnson, right?
Oh yeah.
Dude, does anybody know what he's doing these days? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
He's a photographer, right?
You know who else is?
For the NFL.
You know who else is?
He photographs NFL games.
So does Ken Griffey Jr.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. That's their passion.
It's
that's
awesome,
their,
but
that's
I
their
didn't-
other passion that they have.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was today years old when I found that out.
Yeah.
I saw it in the Sports Business Journal, and they were like, "Oh no, Randy Johnson's been doing it for a few years now. Shoots
Yeah.
NFL games."
Yep.
And I was like, "Randy Johnson shoots NFL? You saying Ken Griffey
Ken
does
Griffey
too?
Jr. does too.
What is the?
He
what-
was at the national championship game on the sideline taking pictures,
working for somebody.
working. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I did not know that.
Was it a big camera scene in Seattle?
I guess it had to have been, right?
That's a great point.
It rains a lot there, so they get a lot of time out there taking pictures of the storms rolling
pictures
in.
of the
It's a
storm?
Yeah.
great hobby
Yeah.
to have post any career, but for him, it's even cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he probably gets those people are like, "What, dude? That's Randy Johnson
Yeah.
taking pictures of that. That's so cool."
Something tells me A-Rod's not going to be out there.
No,
because he wants people taking pictures of him.
It's too much of an ego. Yes, that's a great point. That is a great point. There is something about being able to let your ego go with this kind of job because
Yeah.
it's not about you.
It's
about
not even
others.
close. That's right.
Yeah, that's true. Good point about that. All right, we come back. We'll get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Kellen Moore had some high praise for one Dak Prescott. We'll also talk about the Cowboys who got a steal in the 6th round, and we'll talk about the greatest hero heel turn in the history of sports, potentially. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when my man Patrick takes jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings that you have a chance to hear and see live right here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Holy Wire, and they're playing Saturday at Chess Club.
Holy Wire. I like the sound. It's
Chess Club, where's that at?
Chess Club's downtown. It's one of the clubs that it was something else, and now it's something else, and now it's something else.
Continued to flip. I got you.
It's always something new. I know those places. Always something new. It's always something different. What's that?
That's the name of the place I'm going to open up next.
Always something new?
Yeah.
Always brand new?
Always brand new.
Always
Rip
brand
me
new.
out the bag. Rip me out the plastic.
Grand opening.
Grand closing.
I figure every neighborhood has that restaurant, or I don't know what it was. It could be anything. That business that always every 6 months or so is something new.
Mm-hmm.
Every year it's got some new company or some new business that's moved in there.
It's funny that you say that. You know where the triangle is off of Guadalupe, and it runs into Lamar.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
There's been a different beer place that's been in there. There's new restaurants that are in there. I was driving through there today, and I'm like, nothing is here, and they're trying to put something there. So I don't understand, because there's apartments and everything that's right there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But the parking is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get in and out.
Everywhere in Austin
And
now.
so you're like, oh, okay. That's probably why it's not surviving.
Yeah, you can't complain about parking in Austin anymore, because we haven't had
non-existent.
We haven't had a great parking situation in like 10 to 15 years now.
Great
so when
point.
people complain about parking in Austin, they're like, "Oh, you just got here, didn't you?"
Yeah.
How long
or you
been
don't,
here?
or you don't go down to that area no more.
Oh, you don't go down there. That's true. If
Yeah.
you don't go downtown, you have to worry about it.
Yep.
You stay in the suburbs or stay on the outskirts. That's probably the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got some NFL news, notes, and nuggets we're going to get to. But first, I want to bring up an anniversary. And we'll relate this to some of the sports conversations we're having. But for you wrestling fans out there, and I am a wrestling fan. I used to be a huge wrestling fan in my youth. I remember, and I'm sure a lot of you out there remember as well, the heel turn by what was Hulk Hogan that turned to Hollywood Hogan.
NWO?
It was 27 years ago today.
Come on.
Bash at the beach.
Yeah. Where Hulk Hogan walked out. It was Macho Man in the ring.
Yeah.
He walks out.
It was who's the third man?
He was the third man. And turns out it was Hulk Hogan. It was one of the greatest hero heel turns in the history of pop culture. Definitely the greatest in wrestling history. And
Right.
that's a theme in wrestling. But it got me thinking, what's the greatest one in modern sports? Is it still LeBron? Is it still LeBron?
I wouldn't put LeBron in that.
I don't know. Dame Lillard's going to be pushing it right now.
Dame Lillard is going to be. That's a great point. He is going to be
Dame
pushing
Lillard
it.
is really pushing for a heel turn right now.
Yeah. I agree with
Because
that.
he is also not getting in front of it. He's letting his agent do the talking, and then he's going to show up in Miami when people are like, hey, man, we don't like you anymore. He's like, but I'm a nice guy. Like, no. You cheated. We don't like cheaters, especially one who was sanctimonious before.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's calling out everybody else for going to a team to win, and then you went to a team to win.
Yeah, how come all the greatest heel turns in sports are in basketball?
Because they're just more-
Kawhi is a great one. Kawhi is a really good one. Kawhi is a great one. LeBron, I still think it might be the greatest just because his was unintentional. Like, he didn't even try to become a villain. He had the Boys and Girls Club announcement.
but I feel like
all that, and he still ended up becoming a villain because it was his hometown team, that kind of thing.
And then he went back to Cleveland, though, and won a title.
I agree. So, yeah, but
So
still,
it kind of, like, it was a heel turn, but then there's retribution
Then
in
he
the
went
back.
back.
rectified.
Then he went back to being Hollywood.
Then he went to Hollywood.
Then he went from Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan to back to Hulk Hogan because he went back home.
But he's less hated because he did give
Yes.
Cleveland their title.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also
So-
he didn't demand trades. He was
a
kept
free
signing
agent.
short deals and
Yep.
then leaving in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not where he said, "I know you're going to trade me for none of their best." Like,
Yeah, when like
and
Kawhi or
burn down
Dame.
a franchise on the way out.
You're
You
right.
don't do that.
Kawhi did. He blew it up.
Yeah.
He just blew it up.
Well, Kawhi did it too, because Kawhi was like, "I need out of San Antonio," and then went and then left in free agency from Toronto. So two franchises like, what?
And both y'all got titles. Shut up.
Yeah.
Y'all complain about getting title. Man, he left both
you better
of us. It's
strike
like,
right
oh,
there.
he left both y'all rich and famous. You're complaining about this because about what an a-hole he was, and he left you with titles. But no, you're good point. Kawhi is in there because you're right. He did to two different squads, two different fandoms. But like I said, y'all got titles. So I I think LeBron is still up there, but you're right. He did rectify it, so there's not as much vitriol. Honestly, KD are really bad because his one to go to Golden State, it upset everybody. Matter of fact, my take is still he's the only NBA superstar in history, in my opinion, to win a title and be less respected.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually you win a title, you're like, oh, man, all right, he got our respect. He won his title. That's what he had to do. No, he's less respected after winning the titles, which is crazy.
Yeah. No, and his interest, and then he hung out with Kyrie, which automatically makes you a pariah.
Even more so of a villain.
To so many people. And then when that blew up, he demanded a trade out of there. So he's got a lot of people in his wake.
KD's a heel now.
Yeah.
He's straight up heel. He went from being like a beloved. Remember, he had a movie. What was the movie? Thunderstruck or whatever?
That Phoenix team a lot of people are going to watch that. A lot of people are going to hate watch the Phoenix team this year because it is just like those guys like, you're all overpaid.
Right.
The most team that you're going to hear everybody go, it's overpaid.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is. I mean, but if KD, and think about KD as well, that tonight I love me some KD because he's a legendary lifetime Longhorn, but we're just speaking the facts about his NBA legacy. The one thing about KD is he's a reluctant leader. With the squads that he's on, like he does, because he doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't want all the burden to fall on him. My man VY always said, at the quarterback position, you get all the girls, but you get all the grief.
Yep.
Get it all. You get the good stuff and the bad. This is part of being a leader.
You got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for it. Yep. I don't think KD wants all that. He wants to play ball. He doesn't want the burden of either one, the good or the bad. And I think that honestly that hurts him. Right. In his legacy. You got to be that guy. You want to be the man. That's the price of being the man. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. Did someone mention on the text line Deshaun Watson? It's an interesting one.
That's a hell of a one.
He was a really like model citizen, beloved guy, and then demands a trade out of Houston, which I understand, but does not earn you any favors. Mm-hmm. And then you find out everything else, and then I'll throw another football name in there. Mike Vick kind of had a real drastic heel turn that he was really liked. Everyone played him in video games, and then to a lot of people was excommunicated.
I remember this. That's true. I'll agree with you on that too. I remember when Mike Vick, and he's tried to make amends, and he paid his debt to society. But you're right. He did. He never, and he did end up signing a big deal, big contract with Philadelphia when he came out. So there was a bit of that. He was able to reinvent himself, and he had the redemption. But he was never as beloved as he was when he. Yeah,
and there was a solid 2 years of this man should be put to death. And you're like, come on. All right, take it back a little bit. But people wanted that.
I remember some of the most if I could make a list of the most polarizing topics I've discussed in this business since I've been doing it, which is now 15 years or whatever, the Mike Vick stuff is definitely in the top 5.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Easy. Because it was so polarizing. It just it got racially divided too, a lot of that.
Always.
And I said this, and I said it at the time, and I'll say it again. And people hated this take, and I don't give a damn. I'm repeating it because I think it was a good take, and I think it aged a little bit better than it was at the time. It wasn't so much. It was a part of it was about, of course, Michael Vick and the race element and the kind of the sociological element of it all. But one thing that situation showed that we are obsessed with as an American society. We're obsessed with our pets.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Like, people wanted to make that about animal rights, and it wasn't about animal rights. It wasn't. Because none of us really care that much about animal rights. If we did, we'd be discussing a much broader macro topic about animal rights. That was about pets and our love for pets. Mm-hmm. And I always said if he had been fighting some chickens, it'd have been different.
Oh, yeah. Nobody would have been worried about the roosters. About it.
Yeah. It was dogs, and we see dogs as members of our family and pets as members of our family. So it was more about our obsession with pets in this society, which I am all for. But I have seen, there are videos of people rescuing dogs from homeless people and leaving the homeless people on the street. We got to take care of this dog. You abusing the dog. It's like, that's true, but so we are obsessed with pets. I get it because I'm obsessed with mine, but that's what that was about. People saw their dogs being abused when Michael Vick abused those dogs. And it was wrong. It was horrible, disgusting, and deplorable. But like I said, it was more psychologically. You want to analyze and psychoanalyze Americans and our society. That was about our obsession with pets. We love pets. You go look at how much money we spend on pets annually. It's crazy.
I would agree with that.
It is crazy. It is absurd.
As a pet owner,
But I'm a
I
pet
totally
owner.
understood.
I already know.
Yeah.
If the vet tells me, oh, man, we got to do this, you know what I mean? You got to pay
We're
for this.
doing it.
So something might happen to your pet, and I'm fitting the bill.
Yep.
I'm spending a lot of money for the
Yep.
pet. So
All right.
that's the way it goes.
Hard youth. Can you think of any baseball players that did it? I mean, because
you could say Barry Bonds was a guy. You can also say Roger Clemens, because Roger Clemens went from the Red Sox to the Yankees.
No,
and was staring at Boston when he was with Toronto after they made him trade.
Yeah, and I mean, we could say Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa after the steroid allegations came out because they were so beloved at one point, and then they're like, wait a minute, y'all cheated? And they're like, but everybody was cheating.
That's a good point. Baseball
we were just
may
the
have
best cheaters.
Baseball may have more than any of the other sports. Now that we think about it, if you look at it from that perspective.
From that perspective, that it's not any real decision. They it just came out later, and then there's oh, now we hate you.
No, see, I'll take it even further. The Astros as a team.
Yeah,
the entire
damn team. Remember, they were loved because they were ahead of schedule in 2017. They were the underdog, and
they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated where they predicted that they were going to win the World Series.
Yeah, but that's because remember everybody thought Sports Illustrated was stupid at the time. I remember that discussion. They were like, oh, that's crazy. That's not going to happen, and it happened. All right, they were way ahead of schedule, and as Patrick mentioned, they were the underdog, and they were essentially the Siberia of Major League Baseball for a little while, and they became relevant overnight, and everybody loved all the great stories of Jose Altuve and all the dynamic personalities, the dancing in the dugout, that kind of stuff, and then after the cheating scandal, there was a hero to heel flip. They became one of the most hated franchises on the planet.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you know what? I would say Golden State went through something similar too. Golden State was everybody's favorite team when we discovered Steph Curry and that style of play, and it was high energy, it was fun to watch, aesthetically pleasing, and Steph Curry was unlike anything we had ever seen before in basketball. And then over time, especially after they got KD, it was like, man, I'm tired of these damn Warriors.
Yeah, Draymond started talking more.
Exactly. Draymond went from
the worst part about it.
He went from like the hardworking spirit animal, blue collar attitude to being basically people were like, oh man, he's a miscreant.
Yeah,
right?
He's a bad take machine. He just comes out every 3 months. He's like, y'all not talking about me again?
Yeah,
I think Michael Jordan could probably play like fifth string for us. Like, come on, man.
Exactly. That's a great
bad
point.
take machine.
So you're right. Teams can happen to teams too.
Yeah.
The Patriots did that. The Patriots, when they first won the Super Bowl, everybody loved the Patriots. By the time they won their fourth or fifth, people hated the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Hated them.
Yeah.
That was a hero to heel turn too.
Would Tom Brady be considered a heel because of him leaving?
But I think he became I don't know if he ever went full heel because there's always enough people that liked him. That he never went full heel.
He never went full on heel. I agree with this. That's a great point. Because you can argue even LeBron never went full on heel. That's why your point is he got redemption because he never embraced the villainy.
Correct.
You got to embrace being a heel and a villain.
Yeah.
And he never wanted to.
And it's also that thing of like when he goes to your team, then
your hatred
so
changes.
There's people that like.
That's true.
So there's always those, because we could say in Astros fans like Garrett Cole went full heel when we reclaimed his career, and then he goes to the Yankees to try and beat us, and then you're like, well, yeah, to Astros fans, then he went heel. But in all reality, to Yankees fans, I mean, they don't like him anymore now because they're paying him a lot of money.
And he's underperforming.
But at the time, they're like, well, no, he's doing the right thing.
Yeah,
so
no, you're right. It's all about perceptions and how they shift. I mean, that's a great point because hate to bring it up like the Colin Kaepernick thing to one group, he's a hero, to another group, he's a heel.
Yeah.
Well,
and most people were pretty neutral on him before. So you got that hero to heel, you got to be.
That's a good point. Sorry to bring up Kaepernick. Please don't.
Please don't hit us like
we just brought it up as a example. One more other example, though, before we move on and talk some NFL. I want to play this sound from Kellen Moore and Peter Schrager about Dak Prescott. Jose Canseco might be the greatest heel turn in baseball because of him opening up, the can of worms. And remember, he was the first one to mention steroids publicly and say, oh, no, it's way more widespread than any of y'all think. I think his number was like 75% of the league or something like that he threw out at one time.
That's because he knew from experience.
Because he knew.
Yeah.
And everybody at the time, they hated him for saying, they were like, oh, man, you just shut up, Canseco. Why would you say that? Why would you, say those disparaging things about the game and those negative things about the game and paint it in such a negative light? And turns out, now Canseco is still a narcissist, bit egotistical, and yes, he's an attention whore, and he wants it all for himself too. That is all those things can be true, but he also was right about the steroids, And I think he had a heel turn, too. Because at one time, he was beloved. People loved Canseco. I remember when he was on, like, cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, that's how beloved he was at one time. And now, not so. Now, people now really don't even take Canseco seriously. He's become like a caricature now.
He's been the one that if you want terrible take or hot take, you call Canseco because all you got to do is say A-Rod, and then he'll go crazy.
Yeah. That's true.
That's
yeah.
right.
When your story changes 3 times, and it's like it gets more sensational every time.
Yeah.
People stop calling you. And it's, hey, man, so 75% of the league was doing steroids. And they're like, okay, that's crazy. And then the next time it's like, yeah, and then I was shooting them right in their butts. And they're like, okay. And they're like, people walking around, needles hanging out of their butts. And the whole life, you're like, all right, Jose, tone it down.
Simmer down now, Jose.
That's funny. I got a text. Somebody says, greatest heel turn in sports history is not even close. It is O.J. Simpson, ladies and gentlemen. It's true.
Yeah.
He was beloved. I mean, he was on.
I get it. Yeah.
He was on comedies.
Very much after.
He was a crossover.
Yes.
He was a crossover celebrity. You know, he was on broadcasts and stuff. And now he's known as a despicable, horrible human being.
Now he's just a guy on Twitter. Does he have a Threads?
Alleged murderer. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
Give me a minute. I'll find him.
You got a Threads account? Okay, y'all have a nice day.
I was so surprised that OJ never got into reality TV. I was shocked that it never happened.
I think it was probably in contracts from his lawyers. They
That
were
he
probably
couldn't do it?
like, bro,
No,
you are the last person to be doing reality because you're going to slip.
No, somebody told me the reason he actually hasn't done it is because of the money that he owes. He has to have some.
That makes sense.
There's got to be some real manipulation about his finances.
Yeah.
Because if there's too much on the books about what he's making, then he owes money about that too. So that's what I've heard. But
That sounds about right.
I like that. Lance Armstrong's another good poll.
Oh, that's
That's
a
a good
one.
poll on the text line there.
That's how can we forget that's hometown?
That's hometown.
Damn, that was honestly. He's in the same. I'm not gonna put him in the OJ category.
Yeah,
but he's a couple of tiers below OJ. But he's right. It's one of the greatest heel turns of all time. He's on a show now.
Yeah, he's on a reality.
Mars?
That Celebrities on Mars.
Celebrities on Mars or something.
Which
yeah,
it's gonna be a weird one when he pulls up.
He's already said something controversial on it too, and I can't think of what
Yeah.
it was. I saw the headline, and I didn't read it.
No.
I didn't click.
No.
I saw Lance
Smart
Armstrong
move.
says something controversial, and I
Smart
did
move.
not click.
He said,
job.
"Let's not ruin my day."
I mean, but I would have been shocked if it was clickbait, and I would have been shocked if he actually said something controversial. And I was like, you know what? I'm moving on.
I'm going to go ahead and let him make it today on
More
this
important
one.
things. Yeah, but that's a good one, man. Because, wow, yeah, there's no denying he's considered a heel by everybody, and that was never redemption. That was never. He never had the redemption story.
No, he tried to do the Oprah thing.
Yeah,
and it didn't
Didn't work.
Didn't track.
Yep.
Did he cry on Oprah's couch? Hell, you got to cry on the
I don't
couch.
know if
you
he
want
did.
the redemption, you got to cry.
He didn't cry enough because we would know if he cried enough.
Yeah, you got to cry. You got to cry, man. When you've done wrong like that and you've been caught like red-handed, obviously doing something duplicitous, you just got to cry and just be like, "I was a horrible human being. I need y'all to forgive me." And most of the time, America does.
Yeah.
Because
They
America,
try their best, too.
they can relate to being a horrible human being because most of us have done that at one time, and it shouldn't define who we are. It should just be an experience you grow from, and you realize I never want to be that person.
No, and he's still got the survive cancer, and he's still got the foundation that's done a lot of good work. So there is positives that he can redeem himself. But yeah, you gotta own up a little bit.
Ooh, someone said OJ had a reality prank show called Juice in 2006. How did I miss that? Is that true? Oh, we gotta Google that.
It might have passed your mind because you probably wasn't thinking about it at all.
What?
I remember hearing a thing about it, but I don't know if it ever happened.
Maybe if that happened and we missed it, now I apologize because that should be front of mind in the pop culture
any
realm.
of that.
Someone says Tyson. I've always said this about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, in my opinion, is the greatest redemption story in modern sports. He went to jail for rape, sexual assault. And now people ask their kids to go over and take pictures with Mike Tyson. And he does one-man shows and he does cameos in movies and comedies because people love him so much. This was a guy that one time told female reporters, I will not do interviews with you unless I can fornicate with you first. Those are his words, not mine. So, like, he was a walking psychopath, like a
any
sociopath.
moment, he would lose his mind.
Yes, and now he's beloved. And I can't think of another story like that. In American sports.
Oof.
Especially today where everything is cancelable and everybody can be canceled for deeds they did I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years ago? When you were a teenager, when you were a preteen, you tweeted out something, tweeted out the N-word. Oh, you canceled.
And
Can't
we
get
coming
a job
back to get
in
you.
your 30s.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reality. And this guy, we got everything that he did on tape. There's judicial records. He paid his debt to society. But America loves Mike Tyson. You know why I think it is? He's authentic.
Yeah, he's not
Never
very
tried to
fake
be
at
fake.
all.
He's never tried to fake it because
He's
if he
not fake
did,
at all.
we wouldn't have half the stuff we had, the dirt on Mike Tyson that we did. He is 100% genuine article, and it's scary as hell sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
He said he would eat your kids. He did.
He did
said
say that. He sure did. He sure did.
And like I said, now you would send your kids over. Oh, get take a picture of Mike Tyson. He's so nice. Look, thank you, Mike.
Don't forget that. He said he was going to eat your kids.
Remember that dude that tried to fight Mike Tyson on a plane?
On the plane, yeah. Yep. No
Where's
doubt.
that dude at now? Is he in like some insane asylum? They had to commit that dude.
He might be in some rehab.
Mike Tyson didn't hit him or anything, did he?
Yeah.
He did hit him, didn't he?
Yeah. Because he had to get him off of him. Yeah, the dude would not leave him alone.
Y'all got to stop getting on these planes high. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. You see this woman who claimed that there was a shape-shifting creature in the back of the plane, and her video
yeah,
going viral.
I did see that. He's not human.
Y'all getting on the plane way too souped up, okay? And a buzz is fine. Don't be just tripping, you know what, on the plane.
Yeah, not doing that, bro.
That ain't wise.
No. Yeah, I don't want that in my life.
All right, someone said Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg.
I don't think he was ever a heel.
I don't think Snoop Dogg was ever really a heel. He was a gangster rapper that did go to trial for murder, but he was a gangster rapper.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my title. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And I'm still gangster rapping. I'm just doing it now with Martha Stewart.
Yeah, he's.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm diversifying.
For the record, Juiced was a real thing. They did it on pay-per-view because they couldn't get a network.
Wow.
One of the
course.
pranks is he goes to a used car lot to sell a used white Bronco. That's a real thing that happened.
That
y'all.
is great.
I just sent you a picture from what I pulled off the IMDb of him trying to do this in 06.
Oh, wow, I see it. Oh,
Yeah,
man,
my
you're right.
goodness.
That is next
That's a little-
level.
Whoa.
Apparently, you can still find it like on YouTube or other places. You can
Okay.
still find it, so you can go watch Juice this weekend
I tell you,
and feel
Do
bad
your
about
research.
yourself.
I'm going to end up watching a couple episodes of Juice this weekend. I'll probably have to do it.
Lord.
I'll get bored.
No,
at
there's one
point.
episode. It's one thing.
Okay.
Like they did one episode on pay-per-view. And then they made like a DVD and, trying to get it picked up by somebody. Everyone's like, no one's hiring you.
Nobody wants to watch OJ laughing. And then,
Trying to sell a white Bronco.
Also, when every prank ends with, wait, you're O.J. Simpson?
Wait,
no.
wait, you're OJ Simpson? Well, OJ is more recognizable than Britney Spears, apparently. If OJ tried to tap Wemby in Vegas, did he live in Vegas?
I don't know.
OJ does live in
Vegas.
I'll tell
OJ
you,
lives in
there's
Vegas.
a different reason why he's recognizable, and it's not football.
I know.
But that's what I'm saying. If OJ's coming up from behind you, yes, security should know.
Yeah, there's a security guard. He better try to swipe away OJ.
These are all the faces we are definitely on the lookout for in Las Vegas.
You only slapped him once?
Oh, Patrick, you're going to hell for that one.
That tape would be
You're going
destroyed.
to hell for that one. That was all Patrick right
But
there.
he was just out there looking for the killers.
He's
still out there looking for him.
He offered a reward.
Yeah.
He's looking for kills. Every golf course in America, he's going to find them.
Yeah,
And
every
then-
golf course.
And then wrote a book saying, "What if I did it?" Right?
Yeah.
Come
if I
on,
did.
man.
What if I done it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Terrible.
Yeah, he's a horrible human being. We all know that. But it's like that old Keith Olbermann's bit, America's worst person in the world.
Yeah.
That's OJ every day. All right, we come back. Well, you know what? I want to get into some Aggie discussion here. So a couple of Aggie.
More jokes coming.
More jokes coming. So we'll get into some Aggie news, notes, and nuggets on the other side. Right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's where my man Patrick takes jams that from local bands and artists that you have a chance to see live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Simi Helix, and they're playing Saturday at Hotel Vegas.
Simi Helix.
Simi Helix.
I like that. Is that some scientific?
No clue.
Okay. Throwing it out there. All right, 512 Friday. Also 512-337-3776. That's the number to the Spec 6 line. We got a couple of segments left, and one of these is going to be devoted to some college football discussion and also talking about the Aggies here. So there are a couple of stories having to do with the Aggies. I saw 247 Sports. They released their most basic teams they believe are going to be the most improved teams in 2023. They have the Aggies, the top of that list of most improved teams. This is, you know what? I guess, yeah, considering what they were last year, because they had a serious regression, I could see them as one of the most improved teams in college football, or the most improved team, exactly is what they say here at on 247 Sports. Texas is also on this list, but we'll get to them in a second. Your thoughts, Harsh, do you think the Aggies, and by the way, the Aggies are killing it on the recruiting trail, doing really good, and we thought that would be, kind of a mass exodus from A&M when they had a lot of their issues this past season. That didn't really happen. They had some attrition, but everybody has attrition. But there wasn't a mass exodus from A&M. They still got a lot of that top-notch talent they've been recruiting over the last 2 years. Yay or nay to the Aggies being the most improved college football program in the country this upcoming season, Harge?
I don't see why they wouldn't, especially when you look at their record that they had last year. Any improvement would be above 500, right? I mean, no, I'm just kidding. They just need to go.
He said most improved, though.
Yeah,
So they got
a lot
Miami
of
on
work.
here,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. They got A&M at number 1, Miami at 2, Wisconsin at 3, Oklahoma at 4. That also makes a lot of sense. Texas at 5. Iowa State at 6. They got 3 Big 12 teams in a row. And then they got Colorado at 7. You set the over-under for Deion's Buffaloes or what?
3.5.
I'll take the over on that.
I would take that too.
Yeah.
I think they got enough talent to be able to go out there and compete, especially in that Pac-12. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that are that great, and depending on their schedule, we'll see how it plays out. But, yeah, I'm with you on that. But as far as the Texas A&M Aggies, I believe that they're definitely going to be better. And you brought it up. There were a lot of guys that were talking about transferring. A lot of them didn't.
There was a lot coming to Texas. I
and
remember talking about some of them
Evan
coming to
Stewart
Texas.
was one of them. But you remember, and this is the one thing that I think that we always have to put in perspective when you hear a person's name possibly getting into the transfer portal. It's a renegotiation.
Amen, brother.
It's a renegotiation. That's the day in the life of what we live now. So every moment there's going to be probably somebody thinking, oh, is this the right move? Is this going to be it? Oh, man, you know what? I'm going to see if this school wants to go out there and holler at me so I can get a little bit more money. So that's always going to play into the factor. But the fact that they were able to keep a lot of those talented guys, some of those guys needed to go. They needed to get out of Aggieville. They had to get out of Aggie land. So for me, I think that there is a strong possibility, but being the number 1, I mean, these preseason polls always give you something to talk about. So the Aggies need some positivity coming out of it.
If you look at the blue chip ratio of Bud Elliott, which is the percentage of 4- and 5-star recruits on your roster, A&M's number 4.
Yep.
Well, they're top 4 in blue chip ratio in 2023. So there's tons of talent there. And the acquisition of Bobby Petrino, this is going to be the biggest factor in whether the Aggies are going to improve exponentially. I think they'll improve, but they're going to improve exponentially next season to even be a contender for the SEC. It's going to be about Bobby Petrino. And I saw another story, and this actually was from Athlon Sports. Athlon Sports does their conference previews, and they speak to an anonymous coach from that conference when they do their conference previews, and they talk about different teams in the conference. And an anonymous coach in the SEC said about the Jimbo Fisher-Bobby Petrino marriage, he said, quote, "Sounds like a Nightmare on Elm Street scenario, doesn't it? I know them both, and they're both single-minded. It'll be interesting to see if Jimbo will keep his butt out of the way. Petrino is not a feel-good, Mr. Happy type of guy, but he's a great offensive mind. I agree. I think he is a really good offensive mind. Is Jimbo going to give him the keys and let him call the plays and not try to compel him or micromanage him? Or is Jimbo going to be micromanaging the whole time? If that is the case, then you're going to get that same antiquated offense that you've been seeing since he's been there with the Aggies. But if you get Bobby Petrino, who is kind of unfiltered version of Bobby Petrino, and you get the undeterred version without the micromanagement of a guy like Jimbo Fisher, I think the Aggies could have one of the biggest improvements in the country because they've been they just haven't been maximizing and weaponizing a lot of that offensive talent they've been bringing in.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it. And I'm glad that you brought up the fact of, is he going to get out of the way and let him coach? I strongly believe it's not going to happen. I really don't. And I think we're going to hear stories this offseason or during the season of how Jimbo had to step in and do something that he wasn't feeling, right? You know that's going to happen because it's so hard to relinquish those things that you've been so good. Well, you feel like you've been good at all your life. And now Bobby Petrino, his mind is good. He has a great idea of the nuances of the game because he stays in that. I think Jimbo was still so antiquated that he didn't want to change. So bringing him in, I think it's going to be a huge, huge step for them. But as far as the improvement, I think they have to, right? Because here's the alternative. What if this year, even though we know what the financial obligation is by the Texas A&M Aggies to Jimbo.
$76.8 million buyout at the end of next season.
Yeah.
Just again, we do know what it is, $76.8 million at the end of next season.
That is the most ridiculous amount of money, and I wish I had a contract like that.
You wish you had an agent like Jimbo?
But man, what? Come on, let me get my guarantee. I'm like Bobby Bonilla.
If they fire him after the 2026 season, they will own $48 million. That is his buyout in that many years.
And you know what? It won't be a big deal if he meets expectations this year. But if he doesn't, that number's going to come up a lot.
And you're playing Texas next year, so boosters and donors are about to be very watching of what you do.
Yes.
Because they want you to prove
that you're the best program in the state.
Yep.
The best program money can buy. The best program money can buy. You're right. This is the first time, in my opinion, in the last, I don't know, since I've been a Longhorn, so go back to 1999, where the Texas A&M game will be bigger than the Oklahoma game.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, probably since Mac Brown and Bob Stoops were there, which was, 99. Bob Stoops came in 99. Mac was there in 98. And basically after that, Texas-Oklahoma game was always bigger because Oklahoma won national title in their second year, and Mac and Bob Stoops were such great coaches. That was a top 10 matchup year after year and had national championship implications. And that was not the same case with Texas and Texas A&M. But this year, or not this year, but next year in 2024, Texas A&M will be bigger than Texas OU.
Wow.
For the first time in a really long time. So do we believe that Texas will win more games than Texas A&M or vice versa to end the segment? Who wins more games next season, Texas or Texas A&M? I know. That's an easy bet, right?
It's got to be.
It's got to be just because they're playing the Big 12 as opposed to the SEC.
Yeah. Texas!
Fun! I was like, uh-oh. The way you said it, I was like, what? You said it
I just wanted to make sure you was feeling it. Yeah.
Like Pavlov's
we expect
dog.
all y'all to be yelling, fight in your cars.
Just running around.
Somebody else yelled it too. They're like, fine. Why did Hart say it like that?
To me?
Why you say it like that? All right, we come back. We'll wrap it. But real quick, Pat Fitzgerald has been suspended for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because an independent investigation found hazing was an issue, was a serious issue within the Northwestern football program. It did say the investigation didn't find the coaches knew about this hazing, but they're still responsible. Like I always say it's about Sark. Like, hey, everything happening at Texas with Texas football ain't your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yep.
Same thing for, Pat Fitzgerald and what's going on there with Northwestern. it ain't all his fault because, you would hope that players would be able to conduct themselves in a more respectful manner and be more respectful of each other. But, yes, hazing does happen. And as a coach, you got to be able to – you got to have insiders. You got to have insiders in the locker room that are willing to go to you and feel comfortable enough going to you and saying, hey, coach, there's some stuff going on. You need to know about it.
Absolutely.
And that means he ain't got them insiders. He doesn't have those informants in the locker room. Every coach has got informants in the locker room. Every coach.
Oh, for sure.
Every good one does.
You better.
If you don't, there's a problem. That's why stuff like this happens, because you don't know what's happening in your own damn locker room. You got to know that.
And you can't say that you don't know.
Now it's your job.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Because somebody know.
Yeah. All right, we'll come back. We'll wrap it up, put it in the oven, let you know what's on tap right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is time for What's on Tap. We'll give you that in a second, but if you miss any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the podcast page. Just that simple. All right, gentlemen, it is the weekend officially, so more of an expanded What's on Tap. What you got planned for the weekend? I know tonight, all about Wemby.
It's all about Wemby
we
Mania,
all
man.
tuning in to watch Wemby tonight. As a matter of fact, the Rockets are in action right now.
And Scoot is out here hooping already.
Is he balling?
Oh, yeah. He's already putting pressure on people. And so is your new player that you got as well for the Rockets.
Amen
Thompson.
Amen.
He's already
He
makes it look easy out there.
So
that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna watch that, and then I also have basketball. You know, we had the soccer trip. Now we got basketball trips happening, but this week it's in town, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. All right. So is your soccer season done with that tournament? That was it?
Yeah, for
this
a break
season.
For right now. Yeah, they start working back
Dude,
out
he goes
again.
from one season to another.
Yeah. Well, he was doing both for a while, too. So.
Hey, you know what? Might pay off.
That's right. Keep being active, dog.
Exactly.
Stay active, bro.
We're trying to get that schooling paid
That's
for
right.
a young buck, so get it
Show.
done. Patrick, what's on tap for you this weekend, brother?
I'm gonna watch a lot of Summer League, I'm sure. Hang out, watch Summer League.
Yeah,
Hey, I know, like if you
much.
miss with me, the game on Sunday night is Spurs Portland, so you get to see
You
one
think
versus
he'll play in both?
3. I don't know. And we're going to have to see how much he plays tonight, see what they end up doing. But it could be 1 versus 3 on Saturday, and you could see Wemby versus Scoot again on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I hope they
Because
divide
they play
up.
Brandon Miller tonight, right?
They play Brandon Miller
Yeah.
tonight, the number 2 pick. They will play the number 3 pick on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm praying that you get multiple chances to see Wemby. I think that. I
And
think
so
honestly,
is ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is,
I think
so
Adam
is
Silver wants
everyone
it too.
except for Greg Popovich.
Exactly.
Yes. Pops, you know what? He's the one making the decision. That's
And
what
he's get
sucks
the
about
final
it.
say. That's
Yeah,
right.
But I bet Adam Silver, ESPN, everybody is praying and hoping and probably trying to nudge if they can. Like, hey, man, play him just 10 minutes or 12 minutes.
My
here,
guess
and another
is
12
he's
next
going to
game.
play in both because he's going to want to. He's like, dude, I'm not doing FIBA this offseason. Give me Summer League.
He likes to play. I mean,
And that's my thing is if he said, hey, if I was doing FIBA, I get it. But I gave up FIBA this offseason.
because I want to play.
Because I want to play in this, so you better let me play in the Summer League at least, because let me go win Summer League.
And
I'm a
Adam
competitor.
And Adam
Yeah.
Silver is going to be nudging and saying, man, we hooked y'all up with that number 1 pick. I need y'all.
Don't be starting conspiracies.
Again.
Don't be
Again,
starting no
Hart.
conspiracies.
Exactly.
Hey, real quick though, what do you expect the win total to increase by? Because they were a 20-win team this year, right?
Yeah, something around. I wasn't keeping up perfect.
But how about this little number? The last time they had the number 1 overall pick with Tim Duncan
yeah.
and also with David Robinson, they ended up with 56 wins the next season.
Yeah, I mean, so there were 22 wins this year.
So they were 22. So they basically have improved like 35, around 35 wins each time they've had the previous number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say that 97, 98, when you get Tim Duncan, I can tell you watching that was not quite the same because David Robinson missed like 60-something games that year with an
Yes,
injury.
I remember
Sean
that.
Elliott had to have a kidney transplant, so he was gone most of the year. So you like got two really good players back the next season. So you got Tim Duncan plus 2 really good players. So you were going to be a lot better of a team. I would guess there'll be a 40-win team. They'll be around a 500 team.
Yeah, no, it's because, okay, so here's the numbers. I went and researched it. So Patrick's right. They've won 22 games this season. They won 20 games the season that before the season they drafted Tim Duncan. And then the next season, Tim Duncan's first year, they won 56 games. So they were plus 36 improvement. David Robinson, first got him. They won 21 games the year before. And the first year he was on the team, they won 56 games again. They were plus 35. So I guess the bet would be that they're going to get to 56 wins.
Yup.
And that would mean plus 34. So that's the bet I would make because they're usually right around plus 35 or plus 36.
Yeah. I mean, I would say around 500, so
Yeah.
41. But
Just
it
because
could be.
your point you brought up was a good one, that when they tanked for Tim Duncan, they were basically it was injuries more than anything.
Right.
And then Pop decided to promote himself to head coach and all that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. So that was more of the reason.
Because
for
Pop
it.
said,
I
we
got
getting
this.
that?
I got this.
I got this.
I'm watching a lot of Wemby tonight, and I'm finishing watching The Godfather of Harlem, man.
Man, that's dope, ain't it?
I'm a big fan now.
Yeah, you all in on that.
Forrest Whitaker does a good
Oh,
job.
he's a monster.
Playing Bumpy Johnson.
Man.
They got all the
He been in the game for a minute.
Yeah, historically accurate characters. I
Yeah.
like it, man. It's pretty good. Check it out if you got some time. All right, thank you guys out there for listening. We really appreciate you guys. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Have a great weekend. Peace.